Now, just a couple of lines about myself. Okay, this is my name, Debashish Jena. You can keep it simple. People call me DJ. Yeah, abbreviated DJ, so it will be easy for you to address me. Just call me DJ. And a bit about myself, I have 24 years of total experience, and most of which has been into project program management. And lately, for the last 12 years, I'm in this profession, which is training and consulting. Prior to that, I myself served as project manager, did a lot of project management. But in the last 12 years, I've been working as a consultant. When I say there are primarily two things I have been doing. One is providing consulting services. Consulting would mean helping organizations set up a project management office, doing a gap assessment in terms of maturity in project management. I've done a lot of competency assessment of the project management workforce in various organizations. These are some consulting assignments I've taken up, and the other part of my job is trainings. So I've done lots of training in terms of number here. This is a bit outdated. 22,000 project management professionals I have trained this far. More than 1,000 training programs I've conducted. Trainings on certification oriented trainings like PMP, Prince2, program management certifications, and a lot other customized training programs I've done for various organizations. I've visited some 100 companies imparting my services. Um, yeah. So that's a little bit about myself. These days I pursue my own venture. I was last working 14 months ago at KPMG. So there, I quit and I do my own venture. So that's a little bit about myself. Now let me get you to the agenda of this training. Here, these are the topics we're going to cover. We'll start with the PMP certification journey. Well, here I'm going to talk about the step-by-step journey to get certified. Many of you might know it already, but I won't take a chance. I'll quickly run through this section. Here we are going to talk about what are the prerequisites for this certification, the step-by-step journey, filling the application form, the exam format, how to schedule, what to study, everything about the certification I'll talk about. Next, we'll move to the business environment. Here we learn the environment in which projects are undertaken. So when I say environment, we'll learn basic stuff, what is project management, what are other related endeavors, program and portfolio. We'll talk about the various organization structures. We'll talk about what are certain development lifecycle models that exist. These basic stuff we'll learn. Many of these you might already know. We'll see how these have been defined in PMBOK. So this would basically set the context to be able to understand anything further. And then the next 5 chapters that we find, we call them as the phases of a project. Initiating, so we learn how to formally initiate projects, PMBOK way. And thereafter, we'll move to planning the project, then execution, monitoring, and finally closing. So this is how the chapters are organized. And this covers the complete curriculum for the PMP exam. So everything that is questionable in the exam, we're going to cover that, be assured. Okay, so that's the agenda. And I must also include the objective of this training. The primary objective of this training is to prepare you for the PMP exam. It's 100% exam oriented training. This training would help you clear the exam. Of course, but having said that, in due course, we'll definitely learn best practices in project management. So by the end of this training, I would expect that some of the practices that we learn here, you're able to go back and apply them in your projects as well. So they go hand in hand. There's a bit of learning that's going to happen. And of course, exam is the major goal. Yeah. And it's exhaustive syllabus. We are going to have 8 sessions, as you know, each of 4.5 hour duration. Right. Okay. Yeah, fine. We'll come to that later. Some ground rules. Questions are welcome anytime. So I think the batch size is not big. I can easily take on questions. So feel free whenever you've got a question, speak up. Okay, if you want to use the chat, you can to raise questions. Just that I won't have a constant watch in the chat window, but time and again, I'll keep checking. You can do that. Or else speak up. So your mics are all enabled. So you can unmute yourself, speak up, and then Mute back. Yeah, I have a request. Whenever you are not speaking, please mute yourself to avoid any kind of noise. The recording also would get, bad. So please keep, unmute yourself whenever not speaking. Yeah. All right, so that's about the rule, nothing much, and questions are welcome. Breaks, let's talk about breaks. So we have people from different parts of the globe here. So we'll keep it this way. The session is 4.5 hour long, as you know. So we'll have a 2 hour session, and then we're going to take a break of 30 minutes. 30 minutes after 2 hours, and then come back and run it for 2 more hours. So we are going to position the break exactly midway, all right? 2 hours after. You can accordingly calculate in your local time, right? Okay, so that's all about it. Now, without wasting any time, let me take you to the PMP certification journey. So here I'm going to talk everything about the PMP certification. So number one, the eligibility criteria for the certification. So there are two prerequisites to take up the PMP exam. One is 35 contact hours of formal project management education. So this anyways is met for all of you as you are sitting through this training. So you will receive a certificate from us stating that you are being awarded with this 35 hours. So that's anyways met for all of you. The only other prerequisite for the certification is project management experience. 3 years of project management experience is what we want. Okay. And let's get this right. When we say project management experience, please note, doesn't mean you have to be a designated project manager. No. Or your role has to be project manager alone. You could have that experience in a role other than PM also. All right. That could happen. But what would qualify as project management experience, let's get this right, is that you should be able to showcase that you initiated a project. Okay. Thereafter, you planned it, you executed the project or implemented, monitored and controlled the project, and finally closed it also. So if you were associated with the project end to end, right from initiation through closure, that would be counted as project management experience. And I could have that in a role other than project manager. Let's say I was working as a consultant, a business analyst, a team lead, a scrum master. These are some, uh, you know, examples, again, not the exhaustive list. So this is what is required. And how much of such experience, please note, we need 36 months and within the last 8 years. So when you're documenting this experience, you can go back last 8 years. So very clearly, it doesn't have to be continuous, all right? Any 36 months of your choice within the last 8 years. These are the only prerequisites for the PMP certification. I'll take a pause here to check anybody got a question. Thereafter, I'll tell you the step-by-step journey, to go for the PMP certification. Any quick question as of now?
Yeah, hi, this is Biswajit. I have a question.
Yes.
Regarding the second point, the certification of this, uh, how to get that certificate? It's the certificate to be issued from our current company or what
Question
to do
parked.
that?
Question parked. I'm going to take it up in 5 minutes. All right. Any other question as of now? Fair. I'll talk about this, Sajit. I got it. So look at the step-by-step journey to get PMP certified. Step number one, acquire 35 contact hours of, this education. You have already initiated that. So by the end of this training, you'll get this certificate. You're done. Now let's take to step number two. Step number two is fill PMP application form. Let's speak about this now. This PMP application form is to be filled online. So you would visit PMI's website. This is the URL, pmi.org, and create a login for yourself. All right. If you do not already have it. Okay. And after you log in, then you go and fill the application form online. All right. On PMI's website. Now, let me tell you what all information you need to furnish in the application form. Well, starting with basics, your name, your contact details, your educational qualifications, where do you work, these basics you would fill. And come to the most important part of the application form now. Here you're going to talk about that 36 months of project management experience. Okay, so you'll have to talk about that. So you know what all information, look, let us understand this better. This is the, the difficult part. I mean, the project management experience. Um, Also, you should note one thing for 36 months of experience, for somebody, it could be that I was working on this one large project which ran for 4 years. So just showcasing one project would suffice. But for somebody else, it could be like I worked on small 4, 5, 6 months projects, many of them. So you'll have to document 7, 8 of them to make it 36 months. So PMI has not put any limit. For 36 months of experience, you could, you know, can have in a single project or a dozen projects. Let's say in my case, I say I worked on a project A that ran for 15 months. I got a project B. I spent 12 months in this one. You need another one here, 10 months, say that put together makes 36 months, 36 or more. All right. Any less than 36 is not acceptable. So what I'm saying, for somebody, it could be like 3 projects put together. Now look, for every project, you got to provide some information in the application form. What information? One, title of the project. Title is name. By what name the project was known in the company, Alpha, Charlie, whatever you state that. Next, you state what was the start date of the project and what was the finish date. All right. In the date, look, they just ask you for month and year, not the exact date. Like you said, the project started Feb 2022 and it ended, say, Jan 2023. Okay, so that makes like 12 months of experience. You enter the start finish dates, the application form would automatically calculate the months and show you. So it will allow you to add more and more projects till the time we reach this 36 months. Okay, then what else? A little bit of more information like what was the life cycle model that was adopted? A life cycle model to mean, did you use Agile in the project, Agile or Predictive? Okay, so these are the values in the drop down. Or was it a hybrid, a blend of this? You select whichever applicable. Just in case you're not aware of what are these life cycle models, don't worry. We're going to speak about them in details, most likely tomorrow, today itself. Okay, yeah. Then they'll ask you what was the team size deployed in the project. Okay, so there's a drop down to select. So the drop down would have values like 1 to 4 members, 5 to 9 members, and so on. You select whichever applicable. Then there'll be another drop down to select project budget. Okay, yeah. So what was the project budget? Again, watch, not a precise number. There's a drop down to select. Was it like up to 1 million? Okay, or was it in the range of 1 to 4 millions, 5 to 9 millions, and so on. This is in USD, please note, US dollars. So you convert and select whichever applicant. So these are some basic information they collect from you.
Pardon, I have a doubt. What
Yes.
about this team size? I didn't listen that area
I mean, how
due to
big
this.
team was working in the project? 5 people there in the project, or 20 people were
Okay,
working,
okay.
100 people. Yeah.
It's
Okay.
including all the management, administration, labors,
Yeah.
everything.
Uh, yeah. Labors generally better not include. Yeah. The
Administration
rest
only.
would be. Yeah. So you can focus on the project management team. Okay. So
Uh, and
excluding
what
a
about the
typical
LC model?
construction, this model, do you know what is agile? Do you
Yeah,
know what
LC
is
model.
predictive?
No, no.
Don't worry, then you wait for this for 2, 3 hours. You will learn what is agile and predictive. Okay, it has to wait.
Okay, okay. Okay,
Excuse
okay.
me, sir. I have
Yes,
a
please.
question.
Yep.
What if the project isn't ended and it is still ongoing, but
Today's date
however,
in the end date, the day you fill the application, fill the end date as that, so that your experience would be counted till today,
okay,
right?
So the project end and start date should be like our experiences or actual project start and end date.
The projects, I mean, okay, say the project ended in 2024, but you stepped out of the project in 2023. Of course, you'll talk about the date you were working in the project,
Okay.
right? Yeah.
So it's only about our experience.
Yeah, correct. very well.
Here I have a doubt here. What is the start date and end date? End date when the person who is entering the project, or the person which have start this project. What is the meaning here? End date. End date for whom?
I got it. That was, I think the last question was this. Say a project started on Jan 2021
Yes.
and the project ended on in May 2024,
Yes.
let's say.
Yes.
But talk about you. You joined the project only in
Okay.
Feb 2022. Let's say you joined the project on this date
The
and you
particulars
left the
have the
project for
join date,
what?
that is the end date.
Hold, listen, I'm not done. And you left the project in July 2023. Okay. So you left your entry date and exit date in the project were these. Of course, you will count these because the remaining time you didn't do anything, right? We're talking about your experience. So for you, these would be the start date and end date. Does that help?
Okay, understand.
Okay. All right, then moving on. So these are some basic information you provide about the project, which is pretty straight. Now come to the most important part of the application form. Next, they will provide you a text box, a free text box. And in this text box, you got to provide a write-up about the project. Let's call this as a project description or a project write-up. All right. And the recommended size for this write-up is 200 to 500 words. This is the size. At least 200 words and no more than 500 words is allowed. You have to provide a write-up. Now, let me guide you with this write-up. And I tell you something. This is the most important part. The other information, they don't determine whether you meet the requirement or not. This one is important. So a good write-up is one where you state a little bit about the project. You know how much about the project? I'll tell you. 3 to 5 lines max about the project. It could be as less as 2 lines also, not more than 5 lines about the project. Keep it brief. All right. And then you would end the write-up with what was the ultimate outcome of the project. Ultimate outcome means you say the the product was successfully deployed in operations and it helped achieve these benefits, something like that. You know, what was the ultimate outcome? Couple of lines is good. Okay, on the ultimate outcome, 2 lines. And now the remaining space, this you use to state what you did. That's most important. When I say what you did, I mean, you should talk about project management activities you undertaken. So this write-up should reflect that you indeed manage the project. So in other words, a good write-up is one where all the 5 areas are covered, meaning you should have a couple of lines that suggest that you initiated the project. Like I said, I prepared something called a project charter. I defined project objectives. These are some examples of initiation activities. Yeah. So you should have a couple of lines on that. There should be a few lines that suggest that you perform planning activities. Similarly, there should be a few lines on execution, something on monitoring and controlling, and finally closing also. So every area must be represented. That makes a good write-up. In other language, what doesn't make a good write-up is somebody spoke only of planning activities. There's no mention of initiation. Say no mention of closure, or for that matter, any of these 5. There is a possibility of your application being rejected. So you have to take care that all these 5 areas are covered. And if you wonder what are initiation activities, what's planning activity, don't worry. By this end of the training, you won't wonder. You might already be knowing that. In case you're not clear also, you would know that we will be very clearly learning. You know, what is it that we do as part of these 5 areas. Also, to help you with application, I'll show you something. I'll share this file with you. You can pick up ideas when you're filling your application form. Now, if you wonder what are initiation activities, see, these are typical example of initiation activities. I'll share this file. You can pick up ideas from here. I'm not going to read out all, but maybe a couple of them. If you did something like you identify a project benefit or created a business case, or you identified stakeholders, understood their influence, or you did a high level requirement gathering, you define goals and objectives. I stop here. There are many more. These are all initiation activities. Now, another thing to be noted, nobody says that you should have done all of them. What is required is you should be able to pick up maybe 2 of these points at least. Okay. So that's initiation. Similarly, for planning, long list of planning activities we have here continued. You can pick up ideas from here. If you create a requirement document that was planning. Okay. Yeah. So if you come up with the scope statement, that's planning. You prepared a WPS. Again, not everything has to be done. As I said, a few of these you should be able to show. Similarly, I have a list of execution activities, monitoring, closer. You can pick up ideas. Look at a project description. I was telling you how that description within 200 to 500 words. This is how a typical description would look like. Let's have a glance at this one. So this is about the project in 3 lines. If you want, you can add 1 or 2 more lines. So it's stated about the project, migration of manual change management process via Excel to an automated and control system for recording, approving, reporting, and auditing IT changes, blah, 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 whatever. So this is a project description, very, very brief. Nobody is interested in much about the project. So the one reading the application is more interested in, did you do project management or not? So let's continue. Look at this part. Did feasibility study, prepared business case, got the project funded by whoever. Okay, so this is initiation watch, all this. Even this is continued initiation. Agreed project objectives, prepared project charter. Okay, identified stakeholders. So all of this is initiation. That's well covered. Then look at this part. Workshops were conducted to gather detailed requirement. You prepared, say, requirement documentation. Okay, something called requirement traceability matrix. There may be terms you don't understand, don't bother. We'll be learning them. You prepared the project plan containing schedule, cost, resource. You planned stakeholder engagement and communications. All this is planning covered. Get here, this one is execution. Team members were identified and assigned to the project. Okay, then you assigned, work packages were created and assigned to team members. Look, this is execution covered. Similarly, this monitoring application was tested, or a status report you prepared and circulated, weekly team meetings you have. Look, that's monitoring. And at the end, you see closer covered. So like lessons learned were formalized, passed on. Okay. You prepare a closer report and shared with the stakeholders. That's closer. This is how a write-up would look like. Okay, I think I'll take a pause here. So I last talked about what all information you need to fill in the application form. And one more thing, please note, you got to provide all this information for each project. Say this was for project A. Again, you would repeat for a second project. For every project, you provide this information. And okay, I think I'll pause here. There's a question that remains parked still. How do you validate or provide evidence of this? I'm yet to come to. We'll discuss that. But any other question by now?
I have a question, DJ.
Yes, please.
Can you go back to the draft, the drawing that you did with phases? This one, if you just scroll up a little bit. First question, very simple. All of these is material that we will access to, right? It's part of the package
yes.
that we will receive.
Yes.
We will receive also the sketches that you did, the one that you did handwriting, let's say.
Okay. Yeah, good question. Not the sketches, I don't say, but it would be there in the recording. See, when you play the recording, it's all recorded, including the screen. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And another question, let's say more practical on the project contents. You mentioned for a good reason, agile projects. And for example, in the initiation, we know that in agile projects, there is not a project charter. It is done a little bit differently, maybe with a discovery phase, with a product backlog preparation. Does that count also? And will you provide also examples of that?
Yeah, Alberto, that's most welcome. So in agile project, you did a discovery, created a product backlog, write that under initiation, and it is pretty much acceptable.
Okay.
right? Yeah. So, I mean, I won't provide a specific example of that, but yeah, we'll anyways be discussing initiation, planning, execution. So you will have a crystal clear understanding of this by the end.
And in case, will we be able to ask for the advice of yourself or some other
Sure.
mentors together with the program, just to make sure that we have a good description in case
Right.
it's not specified. If it's more predictive, more traditional project management, in a way it's easier. It will be based on the PMBOK and the examples that you're providing. But if it's agile, maybe it's, as you say, most likely accepted. I would like to make it 100% accepted, you know?
Yeah, no. Maybe my message is not clear. First of all, Alberto, agile projects are most welcome, and all initiation planning activities, that we're talking about. So yeah, product backlog creation and all that's well accepted, 100% accepted in initiation. All right. So even in agile projects, yeah, I completely agree. The way you run the projects, there's a difference. We'll be discussing that, but agile projects write-up is 100% welcome. Okay, so there's no issue at all. And coming to the earlier one, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, one support that we also extend is after you have drafted your application form. Okay, so if you want an expert opinion, I'll be very happy to review your application. So you can share this write-up with me. I'll have a look and tell you whether it is good or some changes needed. Right?
Great. Thank you very much.
Good. Okay.
Perfect. And let us maybe finish up this before we move on. I'm going to share with you the courseware right now. Okay. Oh, no. Maybe. Okay, I'll explain it later. So I'm going to share something in the chat right now and request everybody to download and keep with you. I'll explain what exactly it is later. Okay, there'll be a file in a short while in the chat. Yeah, there's a file in the chat with the name PMP courseware. I request everyone to download it right now and keep it with you. And if anybody facing an issue, let me know if you're not able to download, I mean.
How it download?
Yeah, good. Yeah, a confirmation would be helpful. You can maybe in the chat say done, not done, whatever. Okay. And a second file also I shared with the name chapter end questions. Please download this as well. I'll be explaining them.
No, I am unable to download. How it download?
Gopal, this is Gopal, right?
Yes.
So you're not able to download. You have access to chat. Do you see the chat? In the
Chat.
Zoom, there is chat.
Yes.
Go
Chat
to
is.
chat. Go to
Yes.
chat. See there are two files shared with the name PMP courseware, chapter and question. You see that?
Yes.
Just download.
Just.
Okay. Anyone else facing problem in download? You can ping me. Fair. I'll later explain what is this courseware. Okay, we'll come to. I'll continue with the part I was going on with. Yeah. Okay. Back. So we talked about application form. So that was the second step. You fill the form and you don't have to fill it online. You fill some section, you save it, you come back and do the remaining. Once you are done, then you submit. When you submit, it goes for processing to PMI. Okay. And now once you submit, PMI would take around 4 to 5 days. I mean, 5 days is their turnaround time. They take 5 days to review your application. Okay, so they would review and then get back to you within 5 days. So you'll receive a notification that your application has been accepted. Okay, so you'll receive that notification, acceptance of your application. By the way, there are two ways to see the status of your application. One, you log on to PMI's website, go to your dashboard. It will anytime show you what is the current status, under review, accepted, whatever the status is shown. Secondly, PMI would send you an email notification also that your application has been accepted. Okay. So then the next step, after the application is accepted, next we'll pay the exam fee, the PMP exam fee. Okay. Yeah. And the fee would look like, the fee is pretty straightforward. See here, the fee is $544 US. By the way, you may also note something. When you go for PMP certification, you have two options. You could be a member of PMI, a paid member, or you may choose not to be a member. There is a cost of membership. $139 is the cost of PMI membership. And I would strongly recommend that. And you know the reason? If you be a member paying $139, you get a discount on the exam fee. See, the total cost of certification being a member is like $139 membership, $405 is the exam fee. That totals to $544 USD. And if you're not a member, they penalize you with $11. So $11 more. So that is why no point going for without membership. So I repeat, strongly recommended that you be a member for the first year. This membership is for 1 year. You could get certified and thereafter you may not renew your membership. That's not required. Your certificate would still be valid. So reason once again, why become a member? $1.11 less. Well, that's not much, but whatever less. And second, you get a lot of benefit of membership also. If you're a paid member, you have access to the members area of the website. There are a lot of recorded webinars, some e-read section, a lot of white papers and all. You will access them if you're a paid member. 2, you get a discount. Should you want to buy something from PMI, there's a discount. You want to go for another certification, there's a discount. So there are many other benefits, of membership. So that's straight, you got to pay that. So after you pay this money, the next step would be schedule the exam. Okay. So you can only schedule after you made the payment for the exam. Now coming to the scheduling part, there are two, by the way, the exam, PMI has outsourced PMP exam to Pearson VUE. Have you come across this? Pearson VUE is an examination institute. Okay. So they conduct a wide range of exams, including PMP. And so you'll have to schedule it with Pearson and take it. So they have a presence across the globe. So there are two options when it comes to writing the exam. One is you can walk to their center and write the exam at their center, their premises. Second is you can write from the comfort of your home office, online proctored, okay, home office, whatever. So it's anyways proctored by Pearson. So at their center or from home, this option is definitely there. So the exam is same, the fee is the same. It's your preference, whatever you think. If you are comfortable working to the center, you can. If you want to write from home, you may consider that option as well. And the last step, okay, so after you schedule the exam, of course, you study hard, take some mock exams and write the exam. So I'll tell you separately what to study and how much to study. We'll come to this in a while. But before that, we had a glance at the step-by-step process. So application form filling, then you pay the exam fee, then you go ahead and schedule. One last thing I'll add before I leave it the room for questions. When you submit this application form, now please note, the experience that you document in the application form, that project experience, is a self-declaration. You provide no evidence to that. You do not. You simply declare that you have that experience. And please take a note. This is subject to audit. So when you click on the submit button after filling the application form, you may see this message. Your application is picked up for audit. Only if you're unlucky. So not every application is audited. Around 5% applications, like 5 of 100, PMI would pick up for audit. And it is based on random sampling watch. So when do you get to know of audit? The moment you click on submit, the message would flash. Anyways, PMI would send you an email also notifying you of audit and next steps. But this is where you get to learn. So if you did not see that message, good, no audit for you. You move to the next steps. Now then last, let me tell you what happens in case of audit. if that is picked up for audit. Now you have to do something. For audit, what happens is they would ask you, they would ask you to upload three things. One is copy of your 35 contact hour certificate. So this to mean the training certificate you would receive from us eventually. So you'll have to upload a copy of that e-copy, right? 2, copy of your degree certificate. Look in the application form, you would have stated I'm a master's in business administration or a bachelor's in engineering, whatever your educational qualification, you would have already stated. So a copy of your degree certificate. That's the second thing. And third, last thing, they would ask you reference for every project. Let us understand this. Let's say you had said I worked on project A and project B. So now they would ask you for project A, you provide somebody as a reference. Reference email ID is required. Now, who can be reference? Let's understand. Reference is any primary stakeholder on that project. So the reference can be your immediate manager, supervisor, or its project sponsor, or the customer of the project. Any of the primary stakeholders of that project could be reference. So you have to provide email ID of a reference for every project. For project A, for project B, again, you would provide. You provide this much. All right. Now what happens? Say you said you provided John's email ID. John was your supervisor. Let's say you provided the email ID of John. So what would happen? An automated email will go to John, okay, from PMI. And that email would contain what you know? It would contain this, what you have documented about the project, this information. And John has to respond as yes or no. Okay, it has to respond to PMI as yes or no. So yes means John is validating that you indeed did such a project that you have documented, in which case you clear the audit. And if John says, no, this guy never did such a project, then of course your application would be rejected. So this is, now that was the question that was sparked. What evidence do I need to provide for the project experience? Experience letter? No, they will not entertain anything. All evidence that is needed is you get one person who you're going to provide as reference, and the reference should be ready to say yes to PMI. Okay, so this is all evidence you provide, and this is only needed in case of audit. If no audit, even these are not required. I hope the last question was answered. I'll take a pause now. Anybody got a question on all that we discussed this far is welcome.
So in any case, we have not provided our experience certificate. Only the content we have filled, that will be helpful for that. And immediate manager's mail ID only given, then they will be response. Otherwise, that certificate is meaningless.
Correct. You have no forum to provide certificate. No one will take your certificate. They won't accept.
Okay. Certificate is not mandatory here.
Even if you wish, nobody, you pay $1 million, PMI would not take your certificate. PMI is very clear. Give us one email ID. We won't take any certificate from you.
Suppose we have worked 15 years back and their manager is not available, then how I can
answer to your question? You don't meet the prerequisite, gentlemen. Experience within the last 8 years only is acceptable. Let's say I'm going to fill my application on 15th August 2024. Please note, you can go back till 16th August 2016. So any experience beyond or older than August 2016 is not acceptable. That's one thing. Second thing, say you did a project 2018. The manager may have left the organization still, could happen. No matter, the manager would be somewhere in the globe. The manager would have a personal email ID. Yeah, you need to find that.
Okay.
So please remember, the reference need not still be there in the same organization. All you need is the current email ID of the reference. That would suffice. Okay. Any other questions, please? Okay, we're good. Fair. Do stop me if you have more questions. Next, I'm going to talk about two things: the exam format and scoring. We'll see one, and what to study and how much to study. Okay, these are a couple of things I'm going to talk about. Fair. Let's get there then. One moment. Here's the blueprint for the exam. The exam, by the way, there are 180 questions in the PMP exam. 180 questions, all questions are objective, and the duration for the exam is 230 minutes. So it's like this: 180 questions and 230 minutes. 230 minutes is like 10 minutes short of 4 hours. Okay. And the question breakup here, the questions are divided into these three domains. There'll be 8% questions on business environment. People domain would make 42% of the questions, and process would make for 50% of the question. Okay, so that's the breakup. They would maintain that. And a bit more on the question format. There are a variety of questions, by the way. There are classic multiple choice question. You understand MCQ? 4 options given, A, B, C, D. You got to pick up one right answer. Okay, so majority of the question is of this make. There are few questions that are multiple responses. Multiple responses, they give you 5 options and they ask you select 2 answers. So you got to select A and C. Okay, that's the second type of question. And there'll be a few questions matching. This is not there. Matching kind of question. Matching is like there'll be a column on the left with a few entries and a column on the right with a few other entries. You get to match. You know, it's going to be a drag and drop. Okay, drag and drop. So you think this matches with this, you drag it from here and drop it here. So then this is known as matching kind of question. Not many, you know, how many 2-3 questions out of 180 would be only matching kind. Okay, so majority of the question is like classic MCQs and all. And during the exam, they allow you 2 breaks, by the way. So the exam, you know, this is how the breaks are placed. One moment here. Let's use this. Yeah. So it's like you complete 60 questions. 60 questions done. Then after 60 questions, the break 1 window would open. Okay, which is of 10 minutes. Maximum 10 minutes. So if you want to end the break earlier, you can, but you cannot not take more than 10 minutes. Then come back and do 60 more questions. Then again, there'll be another break 2, again of 10 minutes, right? Then you come back and do the remaining 60. So that's how the breaks are positioned after 60 questions. It's not after a, you know, a particular duration. It's after 60 questions, remember. Yeah, that's how the breaks are. And one more thing, in the exam, you have the option of skip a question for now and later come back. You have the option of mark for review. Some question you answered, but if time permits, you would like to come back. You can do all of that. This option is there. But one thing to be noted, before you take the break 1, you must review any questions you want out of these 60. After the break, they won't allow you to come back to these 60, remember. So it will ping you before you take the break. Would you like to review any question? If so, please complete that and then take the break. It's okay. So that's the exam format. And if you ask me, is the time, how, you know, the time is it comfortable or very aggressive? I would say the time is little aggressive, I would say. I mean, it may sound a lot, 180 questions to 30 minutes, but PMB questions are very difficult, you know, very tricky. You will have to read questions 2 times, 3 times even. Okay. So, you know, you have to be maintaining a good pace is what I would say. So in other language, I'll put it this way. I've come across a lot of people who said that they couldn't complete the paper. A lot of people. And many say that we just somehow had to rush through the last few questions. Okay, so I won't say the time is really comfortable. Yeah, you have to maintain a good pace. Okay, so that's the exam format. And what about the results? Look, after you are done, the result is not instant. They made this change some 7-8 months ago. Earlier, it used to be instant. Now what happens is they'll give you the results 2 days after. So they take 2 days to check their security systems and all. after which they will share the results. And the result would look like this, watch. These are the domains: business, environment, I'll write in brief, people, and process. So they will tell you, like in process, you were above target. Okay, you were above target in this area. Yeah, above target, I meant. Yeah. And say people, you were target. And say in business environment, somebody is below target. So they don't tell you whether you scored a 70% or a 90%. No percentage. This is what you get to see. Okay. So above target, target is like you were at par with the average. Above target, of course, means you did better than what the average does. And below target is definitely, that's like you did worse. So you see that. And one good thing is that you don't have to pass each of these areas individually. You got to pass the exam collectively. Meaning, let's say I got a below target in business environment, but I could still clear the exam because I did well in other areas. Okay. So that pass fail is anyways written. In either case, they provide you this kind of a breakup. That's how the scorecard would be, which you get to know after 2 days. And last thing, if you ask me, then how do I detect, what would be like the pass percentage or mark? Look, PMI doesn't disclose. Some 9-10 years ago, they used to give a percentage, but they stopped it. But if you ask me, my best guess would be, I repeat, my best guess, PMI doesn't publish that, is 65% questions. If you answer correctly, then most likely you should be able to clear the exam. So this you can treat as a target. 65% of the question should be correct. Okay. And I said that's a best case. So that is the exam format scoring. I think I'll pause here for a while. Any questions? Let me know. All good? Fair. Then I'm going to talk
Yeah,
about
good to continue.
Yeah. So last thing I'm going to talk about is what to study and how much to study. Okay. Let us look at this part. What and how much
Sorry,
to study.
DJ. Sorry to interrupt you. One very quick one.
Yeah.
230 minutes for 180 questions divided in 3 batches of 60 questions each and 2 breaks of 10 minutes. Is it the 230 minutes the overall time? I guess. Yes.
Break is excluded. Sorry, my bad.
Excluded.
I should have.
Okay.
Yeah. So break time is excluded. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
So you have 230 minutes of real time you can spend on question. Break not added. I hope I'm not
Thanks.
missing you on attendance. Anybody if I missed? No. Okay.
Hey, so sorry, just to confirm, DJ. So the
Yeah.
total time will be 230 minutes plus 20 minutes.
Yeah, you can say that. That's right.
Thank you.
Fair. I'll take you to the last part then, which is what to study and how much to study. All right, let's get that. This is very, very important. So first of all, I'll start with how much to study. See, what I would say, what works for most people is 100 to 150 hours of study. So I provide a range. It depends on your current level of knowledge. For some people, 100 hours should be good enough. And some might want as much as 150 hours. Okay. And this time could be spent over a period of 1 month or 2 months or max 3 months. So what is an ideal time to take the exam? I would say the soonest possible. So, I mean, when this training ends, you write the exam within 1 month, okay, or 2 months. Okay, if we were to calculate this way, let's say I'm going to be spending 2 hours every day and a bit more during weekend. So I would need around 1.5 months to invest this effort. If you're going a little faster, then why not a month? If you're a bit slower than this, then 2 months, max 3 months. Don't take it beyond that. See, I'll tell you what works. If you're serious about PMP exam, then what would work is your preparation starts right away. You don't have to even wait till the end of the training. Okay. So as we start, we started the training, you can start revising, right away. When we meet next week, maybe you would have revised, if possible. And by the end of this training, our training itself will go on, 4 weeks, as you know. So by the end of the training itself, maybe you are 30-40% already prepared. So you continue with that and write the exam the soonest possible. Okay, that's in terms of the time required and what best works. And that discipline is important. Whether you are able to spend 2 hours or just an hour, I know you have work to do, family, a lot of other things, but you have to develop an habit. I'm going to spending 1 hour every day or 2 hours every day. Without that, it would not be possible. I mean, this kind of reading doesn't help, Once in a month, you sit for a couple of days. No, that's not at all helpful. The rate at which you learn and the rate at which you forget, you reach an equilibrium. So it doesn't help. So what would work is, a consistent study is what going to work. Next, let me talk about what resources you need to clear the exam, what you should study. So for that, I tell you, the courseware I just shared, I'll explain what all it does comprise of. Let me call it as PMP course material that I shared with you. Okay. This you would study. In fact, if you ask me, tell me the least that I should study to crack the exam, the minimum that I should study. I say just study this, nothing else, nothing else. This is enough to pass the exam with flying colors. All right. You really don't need anything other than that. But if you want to add more to the list, I'll tell you that also. If you go by PMI's recommendation, PMI has listed some 11 books on their website. They have done, there are 11 books that could be referred to for PMP exam. I mean, I don't discourage you to read them, but it's a nightmare reading 11 books. So forget, we have taken the pain of reading all books, and whatever is required for the exam, we put it in the course material. So just studying this is enough. But if you want to add along with this PMBOK to your list, do you know PMBOK, Project Management Body of Knowledge? This is the official publication of PMI. So this is a reference material for the exam, PMP exam. Okay. So you can certainly read PMBOK also if you want. So, and here is another thing we should understand. If you would like to read PMBOK, why do I say if? That is not necessary, because everything that's needed from PMBOK is also there in the courseware. So just reading the first one is enough. So I'll write this is optional if you want to read. And next thing, if you want to read PMBOK also, which edition of PMBOK shall we read? You know which is the latest edition of PMBOK? 7th edition is the latest one. But now interesting, if you were to read PMBOK, which edition do you need to study? Let me tell you. You read both of them. Both of them. In fact, I would say 6th edition is more relevant for the exam than 7th. Here is something, a myth. There are few myths in the market. We should be clear about it. One moment. Yeah, Chetan said 7. That's right. So some myth. Many people believe that the PMP exam is based on PMBOK. Not really. So I'll, giving a little history. The PMP exam last changed on 2nd January 2021. So please take a note. PMI changes PMP exam every 5 years as a practice. Okay, they keep on doing that. So last change happened on 2nd Jan 2021. And you know what is the change? What is the major change? I'll put it this way. Prior to this date, Jan 2021, what everybody would do, anybody going for PMP, they'll simply read PMBOK, the latest edition of PMBOK, and go write the exam. Yes, that was right, because 90% questions in the exam would be from PMBOK. So that is only book people would read and write exam. But you know what is the change that happened in this date? The exam has distanced from PMBOK. So please take a note. PMP exam is not based on PMBOK, no edition of PMBOK. Then what is it based on? It is based on an PMP exam content outline. ECO. ECO stands for exam content outline. See, in simple language, this exam content outline is to be seen as an exam syllabus. So it has the list of areas that the questions would be from. This is there on PMI's website for free download. Okay, so it is based on this, not PMBOK. So in other words, the exam goes much beyond PMBOK. It's like, I would say, 50% reading PMBOK, you only 50% done for the exam. Okay, so there are a lot of topics which are outside of PMBOK. So this is the major difference that happened. So coming back again. So if you want to study PMBOK, you can read both of them. There are 6th edition covers many of the areas of the exam content outline, and 7th edition covers relatively fewer. So that is why only 7th edition is no way, preparing you for the exam. Okay. Yeah, so this is what you got to study. And last thing I'll add, Agile. Do you know there is a very high weightage of questions on Agile in the exam? In fact, that was a major change. Around 50% questions would be on Agile. Okay, so don't you worry. Everything that's required for, on Agile, we are going to cover that as well in our training. We'll cover that. Our course material covers that as well. But if you want to add some more study on Agile, then you may study PMI's Agile guide. They have a PMI Agile guide, just a 72-page document. You may refer to that also if you want. So here is the materials that you need. So I repeat once again, 2 and 3, the PMI Agile guide and PMBOK is optional. And I already stated the first one itself would be sufficient. And last thing, other than studying this, you need some mock question practice. So knowledge is one thing. Another is getting used to PMP questions. So PMP questions are a different animal, let me tell you. So you'll have to master the art of, interpreting PMP questions. So for that, one thing is that during this training itself, we'll discuss some close to 150 questions, 150. So the way we'll proceed is I'll talk about a chapter and then you take up some questions on that. We'll have a detailed discussion. There is where I'm going to be sharing all those tricks, do's and don'ts, how to interpret PMP questions, which is very, very important for the exam. Okay, we'll do that. But beyond that, you need some more for practice. So you could get hold of some mock exams. There are many sources in the market. But for mock exam also, there is 1,000 question bank that we will provide you access to. Okay, there is it's a third party simulator we have got access to, which has limited 1,000 questions only total. So we will provide you access to that. In fact, I say this is all resource that you need to clear the exam. So let me stop here and check anybody got a question on what to study.
Just one, DJ, sorry again. You talk about 50% of the questions will cover Agile matters because since, correct me if I'm wrong, 2016, because I had some friends certifying at that time, there was a change at PMP, no more the PMP Agile that was before, but they merged it into one, right? Because project management is both predictive and Agile. Which knowledge about Agile is more relevant? Is it the Scrum Master knowledge? Is it Scrum, by the way, as one of the many frameworks? Is it Product Owner? Is it a mix of everything? Any advice?
Okay, sure. I will. First of all, Alberto, that 2016, that history when PMI said Agile, but they simply claimed the exam didn't cover much of Agile. Out of 180 questions, how many questions would be on Agile? Then back in 2016, 2, 3, 4 questions. Only
Okay.
2, 3, 4 questions out of 180. So there's hardly anything on Agile. Okay. The real change happened in 2021 when there were like almost half the questions on Agile. This is one thing, please note. Okay. And now coming back, which Agile? Yes, you already named it, Scrum. If you know Scrum, you're done. So PMI's exam content, Agile part is aligned to Scrum. I hope that answers the question. And don't you worry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, don't you worry. We'll be covering all that. Okay. in this training. Yeah.
We'll be happy to contribute. I teach Scrum, by the way.
Oh, great, great. That would be wonderful. So, Alberto, I will, when I'm stuck, I'll seek your advice.
More than
Good
glad.
to not. Anyone else got a question for me? Okay. Fair. This is all I had in this first topic. So we are done. Let me just quickly show you what do I mean by that courseware, the file I shared with you, what is contained there, the courseware. Just open it locally. In the meantime, I think everybody could successfully download it. In case not, let me know. Okay, so it has these. Okay, the courseware comprises of this, in fact. So these are the chapters. See, all that I shared with you is the same. The PowerPoint slides that I'm going to use in this training, the same was converted into a PDF and shared with you. Same, everything is there. It's just that we don't share a PPT version as a policy. The same thing has been shared. So you are going to be studying this. This is what we'll cover during the training. And you go back and revise your preparation. When I say 150 hours, what is it that you do? You simply go back and revise these. Okay. And when you're revising, please read the notes pages also, not just the matter on the slide deck. You must read the notes pages also. There is important information that we have captured here. So this is the courseware. Okay. And it is very condensed, written from an exam perspective. Okay. So that it's not too huge, less, but every matter is covered. All right. So this is what I shared with you. And then I shared a question file also. I'll just quickly show you. So we will be solving these questions during the training. Okay. Yeah. With this name. So here, so for every chapter, we have some questions. We'll be discussing them in great details. Yeah, that's all I shared with you. So I keep it very simple, not too much to study. So do let me know if you got a question, or else we'll start the first topic now, which is business environment. Before I do, any other general question, if you have, feel free to ask.
So for the mock exams, will we be getting any kind of simulators or something on those lines?
Yeah, you would get a simulator that comprises of 1,000 questions in all. Okay, so we will be sharing the URL, user ID and password to access the system. So I'll activate that by the end of the training for all of you. Okay?
Sure thing. Thank you.
All good? Fair. Once again, okay. Okay, so we'll start with the very first topic now, business environment. So things that we're going to learn here. We'll learn these things. We'll start with fundamentals of project management, wherein we'll speak about what is project management, other related endeavors, program portfolio, PMO. We'll touch upon that. Next, we'll move to business documents. There are a couple of documents which is termed as business documents, like business case and benefits management plan. We'll speak about it. Thereafter, he'll talk about the development approach, that life cycle model or development approach, like predictive, agile, hybrid. We'll learn that. Then a brief introduction to Agile. We'll quickly touch upon where Agile comes from. Agile will be covered not just here, all along. Here we just have a very brief intro, history, where does Agile come from? That's it. Then governance, project governance. There are certain, we'll see what are certain, okay, sorry, that is different. Governance is every project must have some kind of a governance framework defined to ensure the project is run in a controlled way. So we'll see what are elements in a governance framework. And lastly, we'll touch upon certain organizational influences, meaning what are some factors that could influence the way project management is going to be performed. Okay, so these are the topics we'll touch upon. Fair. Let's get started with the first one, project management fundamentals. I'll start from here. The couple of other slides that were there, we'll see them later. So what is a project? Here's the definition of a project. It says project is a temporary endeavor. Why do we call project as temporary? Because project has got a start date and finish date, right? I'm sure you would agree. Unlike operations or business as usual, wherein you don't have an end date, but that's not the case in a project. Whenever we start a project, we have something in mind. Okay, 6 months or a year, whatever, there's an end date. That's why temporary. This is one important characteristic of a project. And then next it says is undertaken to create a unique, another very important characteristic is unique. Okay, before that, what could be the outcome of a project? Project could be to build a new product or maybe launch a new service or just to give some kind of a result, right? Now, but the point is whatever it is, it has to be unique. And do you agree? See, we are saying every project should be unique. Unique means no two projects can be exactly the same. This project has to be some different than any other project we ever undertaken in the past. And don't confuse uniqueness with similar projects. See, the volume of uniqueness is not important. What's important is this project has to be some different. Of course, we do similar projects. Let's say take a simple example. Say we got a standard product. Say we got a ERP tool, some enterprise resource planning tool. Now this is our product. Okay. Now we sell the same product to every other customer. We go deploy it for every other customer. So a question here could be then how is it unique? Is the same standard product, right? Agreed. But you know what? Each deployment can be regarded as a project. There is uniqueness. I'll tell you what is the uniqueness. Watch. The customer is different. The issues, challenges we'll face during the deployment, that's different. Yeah. The point in time we do, that is different. Maybe the customer had some custom requirement we had to cater to. That brings uniqueness. So unique doesn't mean it has to be very different, just that it got to be some different. So these are the two major characteristics of a project, temporary and unique. And all the characteristics here listed, you see, temporary we spoke, unique we spoke. Now let me ask you one question before we move on. Okay, one ground rule for the training. You can ask me any number of questions you want and allow me to ask also. I'm going to be asking you a lot of questions. So I would request you to answer, contribute, wherever you can. Right or wrong doesn't matter. Okay, so a question from me now. Let's say you had taken up a 6 months project and that project has completed today. And you are asked, was your project successful? So my question is, how do you determine whether your project was successfully delivered or not? Or in simple language, I'm asking, what's the criteria of project success? Anybody would like to answer this?
Project should be completed within the time and cost.
Okay. On time, within budget. Fair.
I would say the goal of the project has been achieved.
Okay, goal achieved. Very well.
Whether this project has delivered the value and met the expectations during the scoping of the project.
Okay, delivered value. Any other insight?
The stakeholders are, let's say, agree about the results of this project according to the benefits that they will receive.
So stakeholders are satisfied with the delivery. Wonderful. Yep. All right. Thank you so much. Give me a lot of answers. Agree to them. Okay. All of those were indeed parameters to measure success. But I'll use this term. I'll call all of these that you said as objectives. Okay. So in a project, we define objectives. When are these objectives? Objectives can be seen as success criteria. Look, whatever means success to you for your project, go define them as objective. Like one objective would be project completes in 10 months. Another is, project is delivered within a budget of 1.5 billion. Another is 95% of the stakeholders are happy, satisfied. So whatever means success, you go define them as objectives. And when are objectives defined in a project? Pretty early, right during initiation, we are going to be defining objectives. Say we define these are 7, 8, you can have as many you want. And on the last day of the project, I'm going to measure to what extent did we meet these objectives. If you met them all 100%, that's a grand success. If you meet the objectives partially, then that's partial success. So I'll keep it simple. Here's the definition of project success: meeting objectives. All right. And that's what here objective orientedness means. So every project is about, meeting a set of predefined objectives. So a couple of other characteristics, let's see. Drive change. This means we are saying projects are a means of introducing change. A change where? In our business operations. So they are drivers for change. Take a simple example. Say we build a new order management system. I take 6 months to build a new order management system. Now it's done. Then towards the end of the project, so what do we do next? We go deploy that in operations, the new order management system. Now watch, after we have deployed, what's going to happen? There is going to be a change in the way we process orders henceforth. Look, we had been processing orders ever since, but the way we would after this project is over, that's going to undergo some change. That is what drive change to mean. Okay. Business value, somebody said that. So every project must offer something of value to the business. You understand value? Let's say we build that order management system, spending $500,000. So what is the value it's going to provide? Example, I'll tell you. Orders would be processed 30% faster. That's an example of a value. There'll be 10% increase in timely fulfillment of orders. That's another example of value. If you want a term for this value, we will call these values as benefit. These can be termed as benefit. So we are saying every project must offer something of value. Can you imagine a project which is not offering any value? Then why are we undertaking that? So what justifies the investment that goes in any project is this value that's going to provide, okay, which is regarded as another characteristic. Couple of more terms. What's progressive elaboration? Before I speak about it, anybody heard of this phrase? What does progressive elaboration mean? Anyone?
Well, execution in waves, incremental approach.
Right, Alberto. Yes, thank you. I'll just reword it this way. I'm sure you understand the term scope. Every project has got a scope. Scope in simple language is like the work that we need to perform is what is scope, right? So progressive elaboration is, where you start the project with a high level scope only. I mean, on day one of the project, we don't have the detailed scope known. We just know the scope at a high level. And as we move through the project life cycle, we keep on detailing out or refining the scope. That's termed as progressive elaboration. All right. And what we are saying is this is generally true for projects, generally, hence regarded as a characteristic. And another related term, watch, rolling wave planning. They're very similar. If progressive elaboration applies, then rolling wave planning is bound to apply. Okay. So rolling wave planning is like planning in steps, planning in iterations in simple language. So rolling wave planning is, where you do this. Let's say we got a 10-month project, 10 months. Now, when I'm creating a plan here at the beginning of the project, we'll prepare a project plan, no doubt. I hope you understand at this point, I won't have an end-to-end visibility of the project. The work to be done in near future, let's say this 3 months work, this is clearly visible. But the work to be done out here, 8 months down the line, that may be vague, it's not clearly visible. There's something called planning horizon. We have limited visibility in projects, right? So hence, what I would do is that I prepare the project plan, but point to be noted, in the plan, The first 3 months is planned to a detail level. But watch out, the remaining 7 months is planned, but only high level plan. Detailed planning has not happened. So when do we want to detail the rest of it? Here we'll sit again and then plan for the next 3 months. Detailed planning will do. A high level we already have right at the beginning. This is what is known as rolling wave planning. There's planning in iteration or planning in steps. So these are all characteristics of a project. If you got a question on the characteristics, that's welcome. So by the way, how many questions will be there in the exam on this slide, characteristics? Well, not a single question. So I'll be telling you that also. So there are no questions on this topic. But then you might wonder, why did I cover it? Yeah, that's very basic. You should know. That's why. Then let's talk about a couple of other terms, project lifecycle and product lifecycle. You must have come across these terms. Okay, before I tell you something on this, can you differentiate how does a project lifecycle vary from a product lifecycle? Any difference?
Again, if I can propose my interpretation of this, if you have a project life cycle and you determine the goals for the project, this might be more short term or anyway linked to the duration of the project rather than if you have a product life cycle when you see the span of the entire product across his lifetime. So a project could be important to set up a new product, to establish it, its use, whatever it is, a service, a product, or a result, as you were saying before. And the product itself then has a proper life cycle that goes beyond the project that is once the product has been established, basically.
Wonderful. Thanks, Alberto. I take it. Anyone
And sir,
else would like? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sir. So we can consider means the product life cycle we can represent as a revenue means that can generate over time. Okay. And then we can consider as a project life cycle that measures means that particularly the starting of the project to the end of the project. So we can describe like this.
Okay. All right, Chetan. Helps. Okay, thank you. I got the answer. I'll just reiterate. So first takeaway is that product life cycle is vast. There would be several projects in a product life cycle. I mean, there could be. So the next slide I'll take you to where this is beautifully explained. When we say product life cycle, look, you know, where does a product life cycle start with? Right from inception till retirement. So it's like you first build the initial version of the product, you introduce it, right? Thereafter, the product, these are the, the phases in a product life cycle. Have a look first. So then there is a growth phase. The product would grow in the market. Okay. Then it would reach a maturity phase. And thereafter, there'll be a decline in the sales of that product. And then finally, when there's a drastic decline, you don't see much of a market for the product. You stop, retire it sometime. So this is where the product life cycle would end. So that's what I said, you know, the whole thing is product life cycle. So from inception till retirement. Okay. And within a product life cycle, note, there will be several projects. Like the first project is to introduce the product. We build the first version, say we took 6 months to build it. That is a project. So creating a new product is a project. Then after introduction, say during the growth period, we did some enhancement. We have a product, we identified certain enhancements and we implement. That could make another project. Similarly, more additions we are doing could be another project. There may be revisions, multiple revisions, modifications, additions would be done during the product life cycle. Each could be taken up as a project. All right. So that's the reason you see there are several projects within a product life cycle. Then last thing, let's speak about what is project life cycle. Let's say this project, let's talk about the creation of the product, okay, which we took say 6 months total. So project life cycle is like, see this project, you would initiate this, thereafter you plan it, you execute, you monitor all along and close it. So this initiation through closure, this is your project life cycle. Like for this introduction project, In my example, the project life cycle is 6 months long. Okay, so in this 6 months, you're going to do all of it: initiate, plan, execute, monitor, and finally close it. So product lifecycle is vast, and there could be several projects within a product lifecycle. I hope we got the distinction between the two. If you have the question, that's welcome.
Yeah, I have questions.
Yeah.
So, can the project life cycle and the product life cycle start date is the same?
Answer to your question. Okay, first of all, we'll have to understand this way. In your question is the project life cycle start date, okay, is equal to product life cycle start date? So my first question would be, which of the 10 projects are you talking about? You're missing one thing. In the product life cycle, I've got 10, or here 7 in this diagram, 7 projects. I know the answer. You're talking about project 1. We'll take it, but you need to understand that one. Okay, yeah, because there are other projects also. For project 1, okay, the start date of project life cycle. Yeah, in this example, yes. So the product life cycle here begin with the initial creation. Yeah, so the start date of project 1 equals to the start date of the product life cycle. In this example, gentlemen, I'll add on, I'll make it more complex. Maybe even it's not shown here, but I'm showing you another possibility. Even before you create, there was another phase, I'll tell you. You know, before the project, there was a feasibility study or a concept stage was there. Okay, where you thought about the concept and did some kind of a study. Maybe before you start creating it, that could also happen. In which case, it would not be the same. But in this case, in this diagram, yes is the answer to your question. I hope that's understood. If you got a follow-up, let me know.
Yeah, it's okay.
Anybody got another question? Faith. So we discussed projects enough.
I couldn't mute DJ. I just wanted to drop a comment.
Yeah.
I think your last point was very important. Actually, even here from this diagram, until you create the product itself, the feasibility study is perfect. You don't have a project initiation date. So there could be many, many different projects before you even get to the point in which you have a product.
Absolutely. Thanks for adding. Yeah, could happen. That's right.
Pardon, I have a question. This project management cycle, here it is showing that initial creation and more features, adding audition, everything. Is there any implementation is coming inside this project cycle? I think I didn't see like that here.
It is not shown. Could be. See, this diagram, nobody says is an exhaustive diagram. This diagram taken from PMBOK, by the way. Source of this diagram is PMBOK. Yeah, you're correct. For example, say after this addition, after we did this addition, there was another project to basically upgrade your assembly line. We have to produce this product, right? There is an upgrade to the assembly line that has to happen, which itself could be a project. But that part has not been depicted out here. All right. Yeah. So that part has not
that
been
means
focused.
everything is included in that
Product life cycle. Yeah, even those would fall. That's right.
From this initiation to completion.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So I'll now take you to a couple of other endeavors, which is program and portfolio. Let's understand this. By the way, we are not going to learn any of program management and portfolio management here, but we will understand what a program is and what's a portfolio and how they related to project. Okay, this much we are going to do here. Right. So let's understand this part. Program. Before I tell you something, let me ask you. So if I ask you what's a program, what would you say? Anybody, what is a program?
A program is a set of instructions.
Set of, what did you say? Set of?
Instructions.
Instructions. Okay.
Depending on the program.
Is it something like managing multiple projects which are in connection or in relation with each other?
Yes,
Um,
point taken.
Planning, project implementation, planning.
You're giving an example, seems. Okay, fair. I'll take it this one, multiple projects. Yeah, instruction, somebody said, I didn't much appreciate that. I won't say program is a collection of instructions, rather it is a collection of projects. So say there is a project one, yeah, there's a project one, project two, project three, project four. So we club these projects together and form a program. We add another level of governance, layer of governance. We'll call this as a program. Okay. It's essentially a collection of projects. Now, next thing, is it that any four projects we club together and say that's a program? Any four? No. They must be related. The condition to form a program is the projects must be related. If these are not related, please don't create a program out of it. Bad idea. So they must be related. And when I say related, how could they be related? I mean, what's the pattern of relationship? Well, they could be variously related. There's no one way. Maybe the work to be done in these four projects is similar work. That's how they're related. Or maybe the output of one project is going to be used as input by another one. That is how they're related. Or maybe, these four projects put together will help achieve some bigger common goal or objective. That is how they're related. So they may be multiple ways related. There's no one way. But the underlying thing, they got to be related. If not related, don't make a program out of it. Then I would ask a question. Let's give this a thought. Let's say there are four projects and we clearly see they're related. Still, we have two options. We could run them as four discrete projects, no program. Let's just run them as four discrete projects, each led by a PM. We can do that. Other option is no, let's club them together, form a group program and centrally manage it as a program. We will appoint a program manager at this level who would oversee the program. So here's the question. What are certain benefits that we can achieve if we manage them collectively as a program versus managing them individually as four discrete projects? Any benefits you can think of?
Picture, overarching goal related to project individual goals, objectives. As we say, like a vision of a unity of the overall outcomes that we want to reach. And dependencies, of course. So the management of every dependency, that is one of the typical pitfalls in a project failure, is also taken into account, let's say.
Wonderful. Agreed. Better dependency management can happen. Yep. Yep. There are any other benefits?
Benefits are technology transfer.
Okay, that could be also a possibility. Depends.
Yeah, and if one project has any deficiency, then another project can fulfill.
Deficiency. Not sure what do you mean by deficiency. One is resource deficient, the other can share its resources.
Yes.
Okay, that could be a possibility, but yeah, deficiency is very subjective. But yeah, that could happen. Resource. Yeah, I take it. I'll just add a couple of more things. Learnings of one project could be applied to the others. Very likely that those lessons, other projects could benefit out of, isn't it? The processes we design for one project, they could be used in the other ones. The work being similar, we don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? So there are many benefits. We can get cost benefits also. Okay, economies of scale. A lot of things can be centralized. Like each project requires procurement. We centralize procurement. It could be more economical. Okay, so there are many benefits. I hope you appreciate. So now giving you one definition of program. This is one way to define. Program is a set of related projects managed together to reap certain benefits which would otherwise not be available if the projects were managed separately. I hope you could understand why this is one way to define the program we just saw. So why we're adding a layer of program management, a lot of benefits could be achieved by managing them together. Better dependency management, better integration, higher possibility of achieving the vision, overall vision. Yeah, avoiding duplication. There's a lot of benefits. And we would have a program manager. Okay, so we learned what's a program. Now come to the next one. What is portfolio now? Watch, this is the hierarchy. Get this right. So programs are larger than project, portfolios are even larger. So first thing, what can get into a portfolio? Let me tell you. Portfolio could comprise of projects and or programs and or other work. Like in a program, we said, what can get into a program? A number of projects. But in a portfolio, I repeat, we could have like 2-3 programs, 4-5 projects, maybe other stuff, which we cannot call as a project or program, all can get into. Okay, that's the first thing. And then the next thing to be noted is the components in a portfolio, they may not be related. Like in a program, I told you the projects or the components must be related, but in a portfolio, not necessarily. But then that raises another question. What brings them all together under one umbrella? Answer to that is they're all towards achieving a strategic goal, strategic objective. This is the linking element. Look, so the initiatives are very different, but what is the common thing? All of them towards achieving a common strategic goal. This is the linking element. I'll do one thing. Now I'm going to give you an example, a simple example. So for you to see how these three, by three, I mean portfolio, program, and project, they coexist in an organization. Okay, let's look at that. Now, before I start my example, another thing, how are portfolios organized, in any company, how portfolios would be. So there are multiple ways. One is, say, an organization is into multiple lines of business. Each line of business could be managed as a portfolio. Let's say a construction company. They're into construction of roads, airports, railways. Okay. So for them, a possible way to organize portfolio could be like, for them, airport is one portfolio, railways is another one, roads is a third one. So any project related, airport related project coming in naturally falls in the airport portfolio, right? So this is one way to organize. Certain other companies would create portfolios based on geographies that they serve. So we cater to multiple markets. So Europe becomes one portfolio for us. So Asia Pacific market is another portfolio. It could be done that way also. There are multiple ways to organize. I'll take a simple example. Let's say a car manufacturer. Okay. A company into this, car manufacturing. Possible example of portfolio for them. One portfolio could be special utility vehicles, SUVs. You understand SUVs? Like what would be other portfolios for this manufacturer? Like sedan, hatchback, luxury. They have all sort of cars. So these could make portfolio. Let me take this SUV as an example and let's work on this one. One moment, please. Yeah. So let's say I'm the portfolio manager for this SUV's portfolio. And do you remember I told you one thing, portfolios are tied to a strategic goal, right? So let me give an example of strategic goal. See, I'll tell you this company, they've got a 5% market share in the SUV segment. Okay, just a 5% market share. Now this company decides we would like to double our market share, that is take it to 10% in the next 3 to 4 years. This is the strategic goal. Okay. And me as a portfolio manager, I would have budget whatever. I've got 500 millions. Okay. So now watch. Hey, before I proceed with the example, what is the most, I'll just digress a little bit. What is the most important job of a portfolio manager? Here, project selection. As a portfolio manager, I got to decide what projects do I include in my portfolio? Which ones do I timely exclude from the portfolio? The right mix or blend of projects. In other words, what would determine how successful a portfolio is going to be? The right selection of projects. There's a saying, I'll come back to the example. The saying goes as, what is project management? Project management is doing the project right, while portfolio management is about doing the right projects. Did you get that? What is portfolio management? Doing the right projects. That is project selection. So selecting the right mix of projects. This becomes the most important job of a portfolio manager, by the way. Okay, so let me come back to this example. So I'm going to now decide as a portfolio manager what all initiatives we're going to take up. So let me tell you, say we got an existing model 1, we got an existing model 2, an existing model 3. So we got 3 existing models in the SUV segment currently. And I'll tell you a little bit about each of them. This model 1 is doing good in the market. Model 2 is doing okay, not great. And model 3 is not doing good. It's quite old, not much selling. So look now, what I decided, me as a portfolio manager, what am I going to do with this? So my decision, model 1, okay, is running, is selling well, no need to disturb. So we'll continue it as is, no change. It's good. Why disturb that? Come to model 2. That's doing okay, I said, remember? So what I decided, we are going to enhance this model. So here is an initiative we would take up. You understand? Enhance, we'll add some more features, some facelift to better compete in the market. So that is one thing we're going to do. What do we do with model 3? I decided, okay, we stop it, we retire it. It's not much selling, no point, continuing with that. We'll replace with newer models. Okay, so this is what I do with the existing ones. Let me think more. I have to do a lot more when I want to double the market share, right? So I decided next, we're going to introduce a couple of new models. I'll call them as new model 1, new model 2. So 2 new models we are going to introduce in the SUV segment. And let me tell you a bit about them. These would be electric ones. So we are not into electric yet, imagine. So we know that's the future. So we decided to come up with 2 models in the electric segment. I mean, these 2 models will be pretty much similar with a little bit of difference. Like model 1 would be with a sports look to attract a particular segment in the market. Model 2 would be some economical one. All right. We are going to use the same engine battery in it. Then proceed further. What else? Okay. So we'll have to, other than these models, we'll have to expand our reach, right? So a couple of things pertaining to that. I decided we'll add dealers. We already have a network of dealers in the country, but we would need many more dealers when we want to double the market share. Okay, that's one thing we would do. Then what I decided, we'll set up one new manufacturing plant. We'll set up another new manufacturing plant. Okay, set up. We'll have to increase our production, so that's something we would do. What else? Okay, we will add, set up 10 new service centers. Again, we have a number of service centers. We need many more. So we're going to set up 10 new service centers, at 10 different locations. That's something we would do. Okay. Enough of this part. Now let me think a couple of things on. Yes.
Pardon, I have a doubt. This one, I get a clarification about a product. If any car, if you go into like this, we can manage like this as a portfolio management. So if we going with the if we going with a project management, any construction, any project, if it is coming like this in a 1 or 2, 3 projects, how we can manage? One project is
I
going
didn't
well.
understand any of your question. Hold. But I have a different suggestion. Don't disturb me in this example. We can take up your question. Your question was welcome, but let me complete that. You first understand what is portfolio. I'm yet to tell you what is a portfolio. Then
Okay,
we
okay.
can take up yours. Okay. Okay.
Okay,
We'll
okay.
certainly take up yours, Vijay. Don't worry. Okay. Yeah, I'll continue with a couple of things more. A couple of things, not much. Okay. Some marketing related stuff. I decided we'll organize 4 road shows. We'll have road shows in 4 major cities to introduce our new models. Okay. We'll come up with a new television ad. I'll just write it in brief. New TV advertisement. I just write AD. Please read this way. We'll shoot a new advertisement for television. Okay. One last thing. We'll sign up a contract with some celebrity endorsement. So we'll have some celebrity, endorse our model. I stopped here. Okay, so let's have a look at this now. So me as a portfolio manager, I said, these are a list of initiatives that I'm going to take up, in the next 3 to 4 years. And why are we doing all of them? To double the market share. You remember I said, what is portfolios are tied to a strategic goal. This is the strategic goal. All of these we are doing to double the market share. So view portfolio as an umbrella. Now watch. So the sum total of all this investment that's going to take place in the portfolio segment, in the SUV segment, my bad, in the next 3 to 4 years is referred to as SUV portfolio. So that is my SUV portfolio. Now I'm going to do one more thing. Now let's give it a thought. How are we going to execute each of them? Okay. So these wish list of initiatives. When I say how are we going to execute, I mean we think on these lines. Does it make a project or a program or something else? I mean, how is it best delivered? Let's give this a thought. Okay. By the way, it's time for a break. I see. Is it okay if we take the break 5 minutes after? Will it work?
Yes, yes.
Yes, no.
Okay.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Yes, it's no issue.
So just wanted to complete this one. Okay, sure. So let's have a look. So you can suggest also my suggestion here. So come back to existing model 1. Here we're doing nothing. Forget. Come to model 2. We said we will enhance an existing model. Now, how is that delivered best? My suggestion, take it up as a project. Enhancing an existing product makes a classic project. So we'll take it up as a project. If you have a different suggestion, I would love to hear out. Then come to model 3, retirement. See, retiring an existing model is also a one-time activity. You have to release resources, decommission, terminate contracts. Even this can be given the shape of a project, retiring an existing model. Now then, let's come to coming up with each of these new models. We are coming up with 2 new models of SUV. Before I suggest, would you like to suggest something? Does that, is
It
that
should
what? Go ahead. Go ahead, please.
it should be a program.
Each model is a program. Come up with a new model of a car.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Agreed. It depends on how your company is structured. Also depends on matter of preference. If you say coming up with a new model of a car can make a program. Yes. Agreed to that. See, we have our engineering who is going to design the model, which is a discrete piece of work. Then look, our operations would set up manufacturing for this model. Very different kind of a work, right? So the whole thing, each can be projects and the whole thing can be program. All right.
But it could also be a program for electric cars
Yes.
that could cover both and
yes.
have different projects.
So make it like electric SUV program. All right. Okay. And make it more complex. Watch. The whole thing is electric SUV program and each is a sub program. Look, we can even make this program can condense sub programs also. Okay. The whole thing as a program is also making a lot of sense because a lot of similarity in these models. Okay. Could be done this way. Then adding dealers. Look, okay. Adding dealer. So it's like, I'll tell you what's my plan. We have a simple process to empanel any dealer. That's like a checklist we follow. So we every now and then keep adding dealers. Some more we are going to add. So for me, this is, I'll write it this way, regular operational work. Please read this way. I wrote in brief. This is what regular operational work, BAU work for me. Now here somebody could question that, look, adding dealers, I would like to take it up as a project. Why not? You can. So you set a target. Okay, we are going to add 50 dealers in 4 months time and run it as a project. You can do that, by the way. So what I was trying to tell you, there's no one way to execute things. Someone would prefer to take it up as a project, as we last discussed. And some other cases, somebody would like to take it just regular BAU work. Okay, can be done. For the sake of the discussion, I continue treating this as regular operational work, while I myself said could be a project as well. Then come to setting up a new manufacturing plant. What do you think? A complete new manufacturing plant will set up a new location. What is that? Project, program, what? Any view?
Program.
That could best fit into the definition of a program. You agree? A lot of work here. The infrastructure we'll have to set up. Then we'll have to procure machineries, equipment, install them, set up the assembly line, different piece of work. We'll have to hire so many people, train them. So hiring, staffing the plant could be another project, right? Many. The whole thing could be a program. Then come to 10 service centers. Okay, setting up one service center is a classic project at a single location. So that makes 10 projects, in fact. And then now think, why don't we club these together to make a service center program? Making sense. These 10 projects are very much similar work to be done. So the whole thing can be seen as a service center program, which in turn have 10 projects. Then come to road shows. Organizing an event is again a classic project. So we are going to organize 4 of them in 4 cities. So that makes 4 projects. And again, why don't we form a road show program? Okay, they can be collected and made a program. The work is pretty similar in each road show, right? Then come to new television ad. Okay, we'll shoot an advertisement. We'll hire some advertisement company who would shoot an ad for us. Even this could be a project. Shooting an ad, a movie is like a project. And the last one, celebrity endorsement. I'll tell you, here the plan is like, we'll shortlist 2-3 celebrities, we'll talk to them, and whoever we find reasonable, we sign a contract with them. That's it. So for me, this is not even a project. What is it? Just a few activities. Yeah, shortlist a few celebrities, have meeting with them, and negotiate a contract with one of them. What few activities only? Now, let me stop here. So watch. I have last decided how do I execute each of these initiatives. So if you look at my SCV portfolio, see what all does it comprise of? There are programs. You see there are programs 1, 2, 3 programs are there. And these programs, of course, have projects within it. And did you also witness there are some projects directly under the portfolio? Check out this one. Enhancing existing model 2. That's not a part of any program. Retiring existing model 3. Not a program. They directly fall under portfolio. Likewise, there are others. So that's the reason when I was talking about portfolio, I said portfolio could comprise of projects and or program and or other work. Hey, what's their other work? Look, this is other work. This regular operational work of adding dealers, this few activities of signing up a contract with a celebrity, other work. So portfolio could comprise of all of this. So I'll stop here. So this example provides a good view of how the three, I mean, project, program, and portfolio, they coexist within an organization. I think I'll rest my example here. Any questions anybody has on this is welcome.
Just quick comment, DG.
Yeah.
When we talk about the product cycle life, if we talk about the models of car, that model went through, let's say, many projects, programs, correct, and also portfolio management, be part of portfolio management, what I see here in this example.
Yes.
Correct.
So portfolio deals with product management. Correct.
Good.
For example, look at this existing model 2. We are enhancing. Earlier it was made, we are enhancing, future will more enhance. Just like a product life cycle is going on, product management.
Very good. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, I'll do one thing. You may have more questions, but let's respect the break timing, okay? Let's take the break, come back, and then I'll start with any questions you might have on this very example. Okay, is that okay?
30 minutes breaks, right?
Okay, so use this timer. I'm going to project it. We are going to take exactly 30 minutes break. I'll have this timer. Please follow this.
Thank you.
All right, then. See you in 30 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, DJ. Thanks, everyone.
welcome back. Hope you're back. Do let me know if you are.
Yes, we are.
Okay, good. All right. Fair. So let's go back. I give you an example of this portfolio. I'll just add one thing now. Look, so this company is going to use all these disciplines. They'll apply project management. They'll apply project management to manage the projects here. Then they're going to apply program management also to manage the programs, and they would apply portfolio management. Please note the way we are studying PMBOK here, okay, for project management. PMI has got a guidance for program management, a lot of art and science on how to manage a program. They call it a standard for program management. PMI has got a certification also. They call that as PMP certification, Program Management Professional. Likewise, they have one for portfolio management also. So this company is going to apply all these three disciplines in an integrated way. You know, project management, program management, and portfolio management to manage this whole, you know, SCV portfolio. And have a term to give to this. We call this as OPM. What is OPM? OPM is Organizational Project Management. And OPM can be seen as a strategy execution framework. So organizations adopt OPM. Adopting OPM means what? Applying all the three together to deliver on strategic goals. So we call this as a OPM is a strategy execution framework. Another new term for this one, I use the term OPM. OPM is applying the three together to deliver strategic goal. Another term for that is we call it a system for value delivery also. So in the system for value delivery, organizations adopt system for value delivery to deliver value to the company. And the components that fall under the system for value delivery is all of these portfolios, programs, projects, even products, operations, all of these form part of the system for value delivery. So together they are used to deliver value or strategic goals for the organization, which is what, you know, we were seeing in that particular example. Okay, so I rest my case here. Anybody got a question on the last part we talked about project, program, portfolio, this example, and OPM is welcome. We couldn't take questions due to time shortage.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, sir.
Yes, Rajesh.
So if I start a project, or if I conducted two, three projects, so how we can use these things, portfolio management and this program management, all these things.
Okay,
Could you please give me?
Okay, let's try answering this question. First of all, I would say, who says every project will be a part of a portfolio? Now, one thing to be understood, does every project program form a part of a portfolio? Not necessary, right? So project programs can be run as standalone also. They can be, not necessary that, you know, it has to be as a part of portfolio. Okay, this is one thing you should understand. And next thing, which is, you said there are 2-3 projects. How do I form a portfolio? You're doing reverse way. You don't have to. You don't need it. It would be rather other way. If there were a portfolio in your organization, if your organization did choose to perform portfolio management, then portfolios would come first. Then the portfolio manager would derive what projects and all will have. Say you don't have the culture of portfolio in a company. There's no portfolio management. Maybe, but there are projects going on and there's no portfolio management. Likewise, there may be no program management, just projects are being done. But the ideal way would be, come back to my example. This manufacturer decided we will apply project, program, portfolio management, all of them. So what they did, they appointed me as the SUV portfolio. So I am a very senior person in the organization. So they made me the portfolio manager of SUV and gave me the responsibility of being accountable for the profit loss of this unit of business, complete SUV business. I report to the chief executive officer. Maybe as an example, I'm saying. So there is portfolio management. Then me as a portfolio manager, I would get fund. I would then allocate funds to various initiatives. I decide what all initiatives to be taken up. Then if it is happening this way, that means portfolio management exists in your company. So if you're trying to look at, okay, here is a company which has 2-3 project various portfolio. They may not have, how do I know? They may not be having portfolios culture, or maybe they have. Yeah, this is how I would answer Vijay. If you have follow-up question on this, please let me know.
Okay.
Fair, then I'll move on. Okay. So last week spoke about project program portfolio. What are two major differences between portfolios and programs? I did highlight while I was explaining. Anybody remembers? Can you point out? Give me two major differences between program and portfolio.
Portfolio could be a set of programs, projects, and could connect programs, projects for a specific strategy of a company.
Okay, that's correct. Why programs do not do this? Okay. I point out a couple of others. Yes, I agree. There's a difference, no doubt. One, relatedness. Relatedness to mean, you remember I told you the components in a portfolio, they may not be related. Like in a program, if there are 4 projects, they must be related, I told you. If they're not related, don't make a program. But in a portfolio, they're not related. Look at my example. Very discrete work. Set up a new manufacturing plant versus you enhance this model versus coming up with road shows. Very different work. They're not related. Not at all. So what is the linking thing is they are all towards a common strategy. So this is one big difference. Relatedness. The components are related, unrelated. And second, hey, another thing, tell me, I'll ask a question. Are programs temporary? Projects are temporary, we saw. What about programs? Are programs temporary or not? What's your view? Temporary means
Program is not.
program, does it have an end date? That's the question.
Yeah, as long as the objective is achieved, should be a continuous process.
No, you're mistaken. Programs are temporary. Program not temporary to mean, look, I call you and say, look, you are to come up with a couple of models in electric SUV. And you know what? Go ahead and start the program tomorrow. End date, don't bother. You can keep on doing all your life. Do you get that luxury? Then it would be like there is no end date. I'm sure you agree that's never the case, right? When a program is initiated, an end date is always there in mind. Okay, we'll complete the program in 2 years, 2.5 years. Although for a project, the timeline may be very precisely known. For a program, it would be a bit flexible and evolving. But nevertheless, programs are temporary. Okay, they have an end date. If you still, maybe you didn't understand the question earlier. If you still disagree, no, programs are not temporary. They're ongoing. I would love to discuss. And if you understand this, my question next, what about portfolios? Are portfolios temporary or not? Portfolios are not temporary. This is another major difference. Temporary programs are temporary, just like projects, but portfolios are not. Like my SUV portfolio. Ask me, when am I going to end it? Don't know. I mean, we intend never to end it. We won't end it until we wrap up the SUV business, maybe sometime. All right. Otherwise, we're not going to end it. So, do you agree to that? My SUV portfolio would be there forever. Yeah. So there's no end date. So when you start, okay, we started a new portfolio SUV. When are we going to stop it? Obviously, I don't intend to stop it. So I don't have an end date. Here's another difference. Hope you could understand this. Yeah.
So
Sorry.
is it like when when the related projects are completed, we consider that particular program also to be completed, hence it is we
Yes.
claim it as temporary?
Yes. So the program had 4 projects, let's say, all the 4 are done. The deliverables are moved to operations. Yes, the program would stop then.
Okay.
Yeah. There were more questions. Go ahead. Yeah.
Quick question here. Yeah. In a portfolio, as you mentioned, there is not an end. Can we assume that, for instance, in a portfolio we have programs included now, and tomorrow we will include some other programs in the same portfolio? That's why there is not an end. And
Absolutely.
Okay, that's the point.
So in a portfolio, newer. Look at that SCV portfolio. Currently, my SCV portfolio has these 12 things you saw. Now, after 2 years, the list would be different. After 5 years, we'll have different list of initiatives, but the portfolio would always remain SCV. Right.
Can we say that a portfolio is more linked to a product management?
No, I won't say it's confined. Okay, product management is a part of portfolio management, but no, portfolio management is not confined to a product management. Reason being, in a portfolio, I would have multiple products. Okay, there will be many products we're dealing with, many projects, and not everything is a product also. Okay, so a variety of initiatives. That's fine.
That's also true. Okay.
Sorry. So then, can we say that the portfolio is more related to the strategy of the company?
Yeah, portfolios are there to deliver strategic goals. That's absolutely correct. That's right.
Sir, I have one question.
Yeah.
Since the project is temporary, program is temporary, what about if the project ends and even program ends? So is it for the portfolio management, do we need to come up with the new projects like every company does? That
exactly.
Yes, but since both are temporary, then how the portfolio can be permanent?
This is how the shit. This is what I was telling you. See, look, let's go back to my example. Say we had this list of initiatives in my portfolio. Okay, there are say 12 things we are doing here. Now, after 3 years, when you see after 3 years, you would see most of these would be done. But do you think my portfolio would be blank? No, there'll be new initiatives that would have been identified. We'll be setting up another new manufacturing plant somewhere. We'll be upgrading some other plant. We'll be starting operations in a new country. We would be coming up with new luxury models, maybe. So there'll be new initiatives that will be taken up. So that is why your portfolio never ends. It runs with newer initiatives as these are completed. Does that answer your question, Darshit? Let me know in case not.
Yes, yes. But what if it doesn't come?
What doesn't come?
New projects or new programs.
Then fire the portfolio manager. See, what would I do? I choose to answer it this way. Say I was the SUV portfolio manager. For example, I am responsible for the profit, loss, innovation, growth of this portfolio. If new projects are not bringing in, then my portfolio would not succeed. It would not give us benefits to the company. Then is when my company would decide, well, stop SUV portfolio, let's fire DJ. Let us have some better portfolio manager. Of course, so I would be continuously looking at the composition of my portfolio to increase profit losses. Back to you, Darshit.
Yes, sir, understood.
All right. So I will now move on. So we did the very first portion in the business environment, which is just project, program, and portfolio. Now, if you ask me how many questions can we expect in the exam on what we discussed this far, 0 questions, not a single one. So this part has no questions. Okay, but that would set the context, so we had to touch upon. Then moving to the second module, here sure there'll be questions. Okay, here onwards, whatever we study, I repeat, there will be questions on this. So now taking into project management business documents. There are a couple of documents. 1, business case. 2, benefits management plan. PMBOK calls these as business documents. Let's learn them one by one now. Okay. So I'll start with business case. Well, before I tell you something about business case, I would like to check with you. Would you be aware Why do we create this document? Get my question right. I didn't ask you the content of business case. What's documented in it? That I'll tell you in a while. My question is, what's the purpose of this document? Why does anybody create a business case? Would you be aware? Love to hear.
Might be to present to senior management or the most relevant stakeholders if the project is feasible, if we will get a benefit in this project, and to describe a summary what we are planning to do to get those benefits.
Wonderful, Fernando. You do that, present it to the senior management. And what do you achieve by presenting ultimately?
At the end, a go ahead or not.
Here's the answer. Thank you, Fernando. So if the question is, why do we create a business case? Somebody asks you. The answer to this question is go, no go decision making. Go or no go. Okay, so basis this document will decide, are we going ahead with the project? The senior management would take a call. Or in other language, I can say this document is used to seek funding approval. Okay, I said what next? I said this is used to seek funding approval. So understand this way, say business case approved. I mean, whoever has funding, makes funding decisions in our company, somebody from senior management, that person has approved the business case. You know, what does that mean? That means the company in principle agrees to fund this project, to take up this project. This is the purpose of business case. First thing. Whoever creating it, wherever it is created, this is the business case, de facto purpose of business case. And also hence get the timing of business case. You know, when is business case created? It is created before initiating the project. Look at the timing. So somebody would create a business case, and then this business case, just a moment. Okay. This business case would be now presented to the top management, senior management. So I'll make a decision box here. So the management is going to check, is there enough justification to take up this project? So that's the question. See, in one word, I can say business case justifies the project. Okay. And if the answer is, if the management finds, no, it's not much justified, I mean, it's not a very attractive proposal, then what? Stop. You're not going to do anything. But if we find, oh, yes, there is enough justification, meaning it's a very attractive proposal, all right, then a go ahead would be given. And then is when project initiation would begin. So project initiation would begin after a business case is approved. So business case creation is pre-project, I can say. It's happening before the project is started. Okay, this is the purpose and timing of business case. And now let's have a glance at the contents of business case. So these are generally the information that we would capture in the business case. Business need, that's like the answer to the question, why are we undertaking the project? Look, projects are undertaken for various reasons: to solve a problem, to capture a new opportunity. Yeah, there are many reasons. You state that here. Okay, why we are doing it. Next, benefits. Okay, we'll have the list of benefits. Example of benefit, I already given you, like for that order management system, one benefit is orders would be processed 30% faster. That's like a benefit. Yeah, there'll be 10% increase in timely fulfillment of orders. That's another benefit. So please note, benefits could be financial, non-financial. We have all kind of benefit. Another project. Okay, so yeah, so say we are doing an automation. So the benefit is through automation, there'll be a 10% reduction in the operational cost. Yeah, that's a benefit. So we have financial and non-financial, all kind of benefits. So in the business case, we list down all benefits that this project is expected to provide. Okay, very important section. Analysis of the situation is like, I hope you understand, any project to take us from some as-is state to a to-be state, to-be or the future state, right? So in the business case, you can record what is the as-is state and what's that to-be state and what's the gap. This gap is what the project is going to address at a very high level. This can be contained. Then come to the section business options. Okay, to explain this business option, okay, let me take an example. let's say, okay, let's say when we commute between point A to point B, we see there is a lot of traffic congestion out here, lot of traffic congestion. Okay, this is the problem at hand. So I was thinking how to solve the problem. So one thing that comes to my mind is let's build a flyover. Do you understand a flyover? Flyover or a bridge will connect these 2 points by a flyover. So I'm sure you appreciate this is one of the ways to address the problem at hand, which is traffic congestion. Now, question to you. Can you suggest me an alternate way? I mean, another way to solve the problem other than flyover? Any thought?
Maybe underpass.
An underpass, wonderful. Yes, let's build an underpass or tunnel. Call it underpass, call it tunnel instead of a flyover. Agreed? Any other that comes to your mind?
Additional route.
What route was that?
Additional routes like
A parallel road or something is what you mean to say, right?
yeah.
Okay, I take it. Any other?
Teleporting.
Route deviation for traffic management. Yeah, route deviation. Agreed. So like deviation is only when you have a parallel road. I mean, linking to this. Am I missing any other option you give me?
Public transport.
Okay, encourage public transport. All right, why not encourage public transport? Just write in brief. Maybe one more from my side. How about widen the road? I mean, it's currently, let's say, a 80 feet road. Let's make it double the width. Okay, that could also be a way to ease out the traffic a little bit. Okay, let's just stop here. So these are, various alternate ways to address the problem. This is what you write under the head business options. Get here. So under the section business options, we would write the following options were considered: flyover, tunnel, underpass, parallel road, all of this, encourage public transport. And then next we would say which is recommended and why. So next I would say, okay, out of these options, we recommend flyover. And here is why. And if you wonder why are we having this section? If we were to build a flyover, why are we talking about other options then? See, the idea, I'll tell you, what shouldn't happen is somebody suggested flyover and everybody got carried away. Maybe there's a better, more economical way to solve the problem at hand. So we had better pursue that, isn't it? So, yeah, that's the reason we state these options were considered and which one is recommended, so as to ensure that we are picking up the best option that's available, that's more suitable in the context of the project. All right, to make sure we mandate the people to think through and put it in the business case. Then the next one, cost benefit analysis. That's the most important section of the business case. So as the name suggests, here we're going to compare the returns versus the investment, ROI. I mean, the profitability we calculate. And this is in numbers, in quantitative numbers you put it. There are a lot of financial measures available to calculate profitability. You could use ROI, payback, NPV if you know them. There are many financial metrics. Which one you would use is up to you. But very clearly, this section should talk about the profitability, comparing the return and the investment in quantitative figures. And then what are some major risks in this undertaking? Now, do you appreciate when it comes to decision making, we cannot only be guided by the ROI. For example, let's say here is a project. ROI is very attractive. You know how much? 60%. That's a very healthy ROI. But if I go and check with the risk level, I find this is far, far risky project. You know how risky? I'll tell you. There's only a 20% probability of success. I'm not in. I would prefer a project which has less ROI, maybe 40%, but more safe project. I know 70-80% probability of success. So all I was trying to convey is amount of risk happens to be a major consideration when it comes to decision making, other than the ROI. So hence we take care to include What are the major business risks in this undertaking? Some people would also add assumptions and constraints. They're not as important, but if you want, you can add what are some major constraints and assumptions in the project. So this is like the content of business case. So in a way, you think this way, all information, say you are the person who makes funding decisions in the company. Let's say you approve every project. So all information you would possibly need to know about the project so that you are able to take a call is what you put it here in the business case. So everything is there, why we are doing the project, what are the benefits, the ROI, what options were there. Yeah, everything is there. So basis this, a decision can be made. So once again, I repeat, what is the purpose of business case? Go, no-go decision making. This is used to decide shall we undertake the project or not. Or I could also use this language. It is used to seek funding approval. Business case approved to mean the company agrees to fund this project. I think I'll pause. Anybody got a question on business cases? Welcome. Anybody created a business case also? Would love to hear. Did you create?
Yep. I recently closed the project, wrap up the project last week. That was basically what you see here on screen, because we had a business need. We had a full transformation for a client in the life insurance industry. We created basically, we did an ASIS to be a redefinition, let's say, of their target state. We did a gap analysis in between the current state and the target state. And then we built up the business case. All of these took 3 months, was very intense. To be frank, we didn't have the time to do a full ROI exercise because many elements were still missing and many things based on assumptions and hypotheses. But basically, that's what we did. And just to witness it, it was a mix of, well, we didn't really use ROI, but we used a payback period. We used a break-even point. We used NPV and IRR as typical elements, all combined together to give a picture.
Wonderful, wonderful. That was very well done. I can see the way you explained. Right. Great. So anybody has a question on business case is welcome. For those who haven't created, you want to see one example? I'll show you something. I mean, this is again not a real kind of a business case, but for learning purposes, it can give you a little idea. So let me show you one in the meantime. Business case. Okay. So what is this project in one line? I'll tell you. This is a ERP implementation. A company is going to be implementing a ERP system. Okay. So that's the scenario. I won't read it all, not relevant. A bit about the company stated. You know, their current IT landscape. They're primarily their business relies on 3 major. Okay. One for outward logistics. They use some legacy system they have, okay, which is already implemented. You don't have to get technical, okay, just understand at a high level. Then for their manufacturing locations, they have BAN, which is ERP. And for their HRMS and payroll, they again have a legacy system they built long time ago. Okay, so their business is relying on these 3 major systems. Okay, just allow me a sec. I'm switching my Wi-Fi connect. Yeah, it's good. Fine. So this is the these are the systems they're relying currently, and there are some challenges. These are some challenges they're facing. All right. Let's see what are the challenges. There is data redundancy and inconsistency between the systems. Yeah, hope you understand that. There's a lot of rework to be done for data conversion, format conversion. Okay, so the data format is different in the system, so a lot of time is wasted in converting format from one system to other one. The holistic picture is still not available for strategy formulation, taking business critical decisions, and there's high maintenance cost. This is the background. That would be enough. I'll show you the business case now. Come. So in the business case, we have the section reasons Okay. Reasons in this template is a little different, like the one I did show you. We call this as business need, all the same. Call it as business need or reasons why we are undertaking the project. The same is written here. So this company is currently relying on these three systems we saw, and the primary reasons for taking the project are here. Data redundancy and inconsistency, data format mismatch, holistic picture is not available, and high maintenance costs. So this is classic, business need or reason why we're doing the project. Then come to business options. Example of business option. Okay, three options were considered. I'll explain. Option number one is what? Address integration issue between the two systems. Meaning, we build an interface which will run on, at regular intervals. So this is like to better integrate the systems. An interface could be built. This is one way to address the problem at hand. Then option two is what? We go for a ERP system. I mean, this to mean we'll stop using the existing systems and one ERP is going to be replacing all this. That's one. Even option three is ERP. But you know what is the difference? Look, the difference is option two is on-premise ERP, while option three is we are saying we'll go for a cloud ERP system. That's the difference. Cloud versus on-premise. So these are like the options considered. Then next we will state which is recommended and why. Okay. So look, the way it is compared and we are selecting the options. Well, how would you do? Up to you. You got to decide. The way these guys have done here. So they have basically compared these three options on three major parameters. One,
sorry, DJ. I don't know if it's only for me, but your voice is cracking, stopping from time to time.
Okay. Just a moment. Is it right now or was it a while ago?
No, right.
Right now. Okay.
10 seconds before I told
you. It's working fine for us. I am not facing any issue.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, no issue, I think.
Yeah, while ago it was there, but now it's okay.
Okay, I just switched the Wi-Fi. I was connected to a distant one. I just hence switched. So, Fernando, if it continues, do let me know. Okay, let's see for a while.
I think very well. Thank you.
Okay. Right. Okay. So have a look at this one now. Yeah, three parameters. Majorly, we're comparing them. So on data redundancy, look the way it is presented. Option one, does it address it? Yes. There is one down arrow key. This means it would reduce redundancy. All right. That's what decrease. Come to option two. Remember, option was what? It was like building an interface. So that would address redundancy to an extent. But come to option two, it addresses redundancy far better. You remember two is like ERP. All right. Complete ERP. We don't use the current systems. So there's no question of redundancy, one system. And option three addresses it equally well. In fact, two and three are both same. One is on-premise ERP, the other is cloud. Then come to the second parameter, data consistency. Option one again would improve consistency to an extent, but check out two and three. These would improve consistency even better. So that's why two arrows you see. They'll improve equally well. Then come to the third one, cost of operations. So what impact does option one have on cost of operations? No impact. Why? Because we still have to maintain the three systems. The maintenance is costing us. Even if we build an interface, the existing systems would run. So there's no impact on cost. But come to option two. Yeah, this would reduce cost a lot. That is, we'll have only one system to maintain, the ERP one, and not these three systems. They'll be replaced. But come to option three, interesting. This one is reducing cost even further. And that's how option three becomes a winner among the options. You know why? What is three? Cloud. And do you know cloud will be more cost effective? If you go for an on-premise ERP, then initial investment, capital investment would be a lot. You'll have to, buy a lot of capital, expense, infrastructure and all. Because when you are doing it on-premise, you won't do it for today. You will think of next 5-10 years expansion plans, how much capacity is needed. You'll have to fund a lot of unused capacity for now. But cloud is good in the sense, pay as you use. So you won't fund any unnecessary capacity and all. So that is how option 3 is a winner. So hence we are recommending to go for cloud ERP. I hope you understand. That's one way the business option can be done. Then expected benefits, have the listing of benefits. Some listed here, let's read. Reduce IT operational cost by 60%. Okay. The improve data consistency and these two close to 99.9. So remember one thing, benefits best be quantified wherever possible. Okay. So if not quantified, how will we prove measure that, right? So it must be. Likewise, reduce redundancy to a 0.1%. And there are some other general benefits of a cloud-based system. Improve capacity management, greater resource utilization would be there. Up-to-date technology stack. You know, the maintenance would be with the provider. So provider is a professional organization. So they'll be, all updating always. Better availability due to robust infrastructure. So these are some benefits. Then come to disbenefit. Look at this. In the template I did show there, I didn't have this benefit, but good to know. What is this benefit? This benefit is anything that's seen as an inconvenience of doing this project. Some side effect, negative effect. Every project will offer a lot of benefits, but there is a possibility that it creates some inconvenience to someone. That is what we call as disbenefit. Giving an example of disbenefit. In this project, we don't have good disbenefit. That flyover project, let's say we are constructing that flyover. Possible example of disbenefit there would be, let's say we got to cut 50 trees to build the flyover. Imagine 50 trees are to be cut. That is an example of disbenefit. Another one, we already have congestion, right? And you know what? For the next 1 year, which is the construction period of the flyover, let's say, there will be double the congestion. Because to do the construction work, you will further occupy the road, right? Further narrow it down and it will double the congestion. That's another example of disbenefit. Hope you could understand, right? So if there are disbenefits, then we must identify and capture it here. Why? Because look, when it comes to decision making, you cannot only be guided by the benefits. We'll have to offset the disbenefits from benefits, yeah, in order to take a call. Okay, so that's why we must capture the disbenefit. Then next we have time and cost. Okay, in the business case, we'll have the time and cost, but point to be noted, the time and cost here would be like ballpark values because the detailed schedule, detailed budgeting that we do much later in the planning stages. At this point in time, we don't have detailed plans, no way. So some kind of a ballpark estimation we do, initial rough estimate. So like is presented for this project, 82 weeks the project would take. Here, these are the phases of the project and an indication of the timing of the phase. All right. Then come to cost. Cost is like, again, it's a rough estimate, 3.5 million is what we have estimated. Okay, so that's given here. So the project cost, it will take, it will span a couple of years. And there is an ongoing maintenance cost, license cost that would be after the project. So that has been provided. Then what else? Cost benefit analysis we talked about, right? Another term for this cost benefit analysis is investment appraisal, some people would call it. Okay, so as I said, you can use any of the matrix. There are many. So this team used like ROI. No, they have used what? Payback. Sorry, they write it is payback has been shown here. You see, the blue line is the expense, right? And the orange one is the savings. So you find based on the projection done by this team, it would take around 5 years to get back our investment. Okay, so this is what we call as the break-even period, the time required to get back your money. So 5 years onwards, after that, there's going to be return use. So break-even is 5 years. And we would have some risk. What are some major risks also can be documented. Some risks are written here. I'm not reading them. I mean, could be the risk. So this is like a sample, example of how a business case would look like. Hope that helps. Anybody got a question? If you have a question on this business case, welcome. All right, then I'll move on. We learn business case. These are some cost benefit analysis techniques. They don't ask this in the exam, but if you're interested, I could touch upon. Okay.
Will we get these extra material that you just showed? These
Yes,
business
yes,
cases? Okay.
absolutely. Oh, business cases. Okay. That I haven't shared, but fine. If you're interested, I'll share those as well. I'm
Yeah,
yet to
very,
share that. Yeah, I'll do
very
that.
glad. Thanks.
Okay, that reminds me something. Just a moment. Okay, the way I will be providing you access to recordings. Okay, I'll just tell you what I'm going to do. Okay, I'll the way I'm going to do, I'll put it on my Google Drive, and I'll give you all access. All right, and this would remain for 1 year at least here. 27 July. Yep. Okay. So I repeat, this folder would remain here for 1 year. You can, access the recordings from here. It's now empty. I'll be uploading the recordings, day-wise recordings here. So I'm going to share a link with you in the chat now. Okay, so please save this link. There's a link in the chat window, and request everybody to once click on the link. Just once. Once you click, what would happen, a request would come to me and I will grant the access. Right now, you don't have access. Okay, I'll do it offline. And save the link also. So this is where I repeat, the recording should stay. Okay, so I've started getting requests. Okay, I'll get it. I'll do, provide that access offline, not doing it right now. So like today's recording, you can find tomorrow. It's not later. We would do it possibly later today. If not, latest by tomorrow, the recording would be uploaded here. I hope you understand how do I provide the recording. Okay. Sample documents, I'll put them again here. Okay. The same place. I'll have the sample documents. Oh, still uploading. Okay, so I'll just maybe change the name of this page. Okay. So sample documents are here, and the recordings should also be here later on. Okay, we move on then. Okay, so I'm not touching upon these cost benefit analysis techniques because they won't ask in exam. But if you're really interested, I could. So ROI, payback, NPV, these are some commonly used metrics to perform cost benefit analysis. Payback is simple, break even. The time required for getting back your investment, we call as payback period. Okay. Now we look at another business document, benefits management plan. But before I talk about that, here's a question for you. Try this question. When do benefits accrue in a project environment? I mean, I'm concerned about the timing of benefit, and I've given 3 options here. So do we achieve the benefits during the project, or we achieve it right at the end of the project, or do we achieve them sometime after completion of the project? What's your view? Yeah,
Some,
please
I think
answer.
it's C.
some teams after completion.
Okay, I heard C. You can use the chat also to answer. I would love to have your answers on this. And while you answer, look, don't restrict yourself to a single benefit, single project. I mean, generalize. Okay, Albert, a very interesting answer. Charlie, everybody else is. Hey, what is D? Okay, you want an option as all of the above. Sure. So let's add another option. Delta, which is all of the above. All right, thank you so much for your answers. The right answer to this question is all of the above, delta. In purpose, that was not given as one of the options, but that's the right answer. But do you realize many people said sometime after completion? Of course, that can happen. We don't deny. Why not during? You see, in some projects, you deliver in phases. Let's say one phase is over. Project, two more phases to go. But you know what? We can start using the phase one deliverables and can start getting certain benefits, especially in your agile environment, where you don't wait till the end. You build something and release it for operational use. And so we have started using, getting benefits even before the project is ended. So during is very much a possibility. Right at the end, like, okay, think about my flyover project. I'll tell you what is the benefit of flyover project. I'll tell you. Reduce time to commute by 80%. So currently, whatever time is taking from point A to B, it will reduce by 80%, after the flyover is over. Sounds like a benefit, right? Now think about it. When will we achieve this benefit? It should be the last day of the project. Say we took 1 year to build this flyover. So today the flyover is done. And this morning we commission the flyover. Right away we achieve the benefit of 80% reduction. You agree to that, or do you need 3 months to achieve that? No, right this morning we got it. So that's an example of a benefit which is right at the end of the project. And sometime after completion, of course, this is very, very common. Okay, like that order management system. So one benefit was orders would be processed 30% faster. Now think about it. Let's say I took 6 months to build the order management system. We deliver in operations today. My project is over. Do you think this morning itself guys would process it 30% faster? No way. In fact, currently they may become slow. The team would need time to learn the new system, get accustomed, and it would take some 2 months, 3 months after go live, or whatever time I mean, to reach that mark of 30% faster processing, isn't it? So that's an example of some time after completion. So all of these are possibilities. But if you ask me one thing, out of these, which is mostly the case, which is more common, I would go with Charlie, which is what most people said. Sometime after completion is more commonly seen, but let's not forget A and B are definitely possibilities. Some amount of benefits we may have achieved. I hope you appreciate this one. If you got a question, let me know. And you know what? Then this is where project managers are fortunate. Why did I say that? See, by the time, mostly I said benefits would accrue afterwards. So by the time it is realized that benefits were not achieved, project is over, project team disbanded, including the project manager. And after 3 months, management finds this project didn't achieve the benefit. So you're not around to be penalized. Well, that was on a lighter note. Okay. But then come to this, the management, the senior management, I'm sure you would agree, they would be very keen to see that the benefits were indeed achieved. Whatever the benefits were claimed, they were achieved, right? Because the ROI would come from there. So to that regard, we make this benefits management plan. So let me tell you in one line, what is the purpose of this document? Look, this document is going to support measurement and reporting of benefits. I would say that. I repeat, it's used to measure and report You plan out here by the way, how are we going to measure and report on these benefits? So let's have a look at the contents. You would have target benefit. Look, target benefit means the list of benefit. It's taken from the business case. You just wrote the benefits in business case, copy and paste it here. Meaning we are saying the scope of this plan is measurement and reporting of these 5, 7, as many benefits. Then strategic alignment. Hope you appreciate. Look, every benefit we are talking about will help achieve some strategic goal of the organization. You map it. Benefit 1, which strategic goal does it help achieve, directly or indirectly? Likewise, benefit 2, which one? Okay, so you mapping it. Time frame, when can we achieve the benefit? We just spoke, benefits could accrue during the project, right at then, sometime after completion. So for every benefit, you mentioned the timeline. Like you said, benefit 1 would be like end of phase 1. Benefit 2 is going to be 3 months after go live. Okay, so this is like timeline. But every benefit you capture that. So that we are aware, when should we be measuring that? Benefits owner, look, for every benefit, I'm going to assign that ownership to someone. As the name suggests, whoever we make owner, that guy is going to be accountable for that benefit. So this person would see that this benefit is indeed realized. Okay. And if you wonder who can we make benefit owner for a specific benefit, I would say this benefit owner would typically come from that operational area which is going to receive that benefit. Okay, that would be the best. Say we build that order management system. Who is going to use it? Our operations team would use. Now, marketing team would use, let's say, sales marketing team. So what I did, I got the head of sales marketing as the benefit owner, or maybe some senior person from that department to act as benefit owner. Okay, the next matrix. Matrix is how do we measure that benefit? We must have a measure defined for every. For example, for that benefit, we said, okay, another benefit of flyover, I'll tell you, is there'll be reduction in pollution levels at this point because of a lot of congestion. Currently, the air pollution is high at this particular point, and we are expecting what it would reduce. All right. So, what is the matrix for this one? Okay, matrix is air quality index, AQI. Okay, so this is an example of a matrix. For every benefit, you should have a measure to make out whether it was achieved or not. And then you add what are some major assumptions and what are some major risks also could be added. By this, the benefit owner would see that these risks are well managed to ensure that we achieve the benefits to the fullest scale. So that's the content of a benefits management plan. Okay, once again, I repeat, what is the purpose of this document? This is used to, perform benefit reviews and reporting. So it's a plan around that. So another thing, when is this document created? This document would be created in parallel with business case. In parallel, I said. Okay. So both of these are created during initiation or in immediate sequence. That's the timing. And by the way, I never told you who can create the business case or this one. There are multiple possibilities around it. It varies from organization to organization. It may be that we appoint a business analyst, a certified BA, who would create the business case. And even this. Okay. It could be the initiator, whoever is proposing the project, could be project sponsor who creates. Okay. And why not project manager? Out of the many possibilities, even this PM may also be asked to create the benefits management plan. Well, so that would be all about these couple of business documents. Any questions this far? All good?
All good.
Fair. So then I'll take you to the next part, we'll speak a little bit on development approach now. Okay, so call it as development life cycles or development approach, we call it. So look, here are the various life cycles, development life cycles. Predictive at one end with agile at the other one. In between, we got iterative and incremental. I'll speak about them now. The first thing is, understand this way, if you go check out good old days, we only had predictive life cycle. We go a certain number of years back. It was only predictive life cycle that existed. The predictive is given many names. Call it as traditional, predictive, or traditional, or we call it as plan driven also, plan driven. Many names. Let me explain the way things work in predictive life cycle. So it's like here you do a detailed requirement gathering upfront, right at the beginning of the project, and then you get a sign off on the requirement. You freeze the requirement. You get your sign off from the stakeholders. You freeze it. And thereafter, what you do, you put up a detailed project plan covering the complete project. Now, the rest of the project is just about following through this plan. Okay. So the drawback of this life cycle, let's get the drawback. These are some drawbacks. Number one, change cannot be accommodated in these life cycles. So these life cycles are not suited to deal with changes. In this life cycle, change to mean replanning has to be done. Okay, they're not suited to changes. Another drawback was like, it's like, look, you freeze the requirement, you talk to the customer, got the requirement, you freeze it. Now a team sitting somewhere building the product, so they take 10 months to build it. Now at the end of 10 months, the team comes and shows to the customer, look, this is what we built. Customer says, oh my God, what did you build, and false. I mean, there is a big mismatch in what the customer wanted versus what the team has delivered. So these are some of the drawbacks, of predictive life cycle. A lot of people burn their hand. Thus emerged iterative and incremental kind of life cycle. So let us understand how things vary here. In iterative and incremental, what you do is you break down the development into number of iterations. Iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3. Okay. So unlike your predictive, where you're building the product in one go, but here you don't that. You break it down into number of iterations. And then next, even here you got requirements, okay, at the beginning. And you put up a project plan, even here. But in the plan, you note, iteration 1 would be planned to a detail level. Okay, iteration 1 is planned in detail. But you check out iteration 2 and 3, they are a part of the plan, but it's not detailed. It is kept high level. Only high level planning has been done. So the idea is, this is one thing, please note. So the idea is, after iteration 1 is over, here we'll sit and now do the detailed planning for iteration 2. So the benefit of these life cycles was, number one, change can be accommodated to an extent. So like a predictive life cycle, it was completely, against changes. But these life cycles, why did I say changes to an account can be accommodated? Because you didn't have a detailed plan. When you're creating the detailed plan for the second iteration, some changes can be incorporated. That's why. Another thing, see, iteration 1 done, you reach out to the customer, stakeholders, collect their feedback, improve the product. Okay, that can happen in iterative and incremental kind of life cycle. Look further, the way I'm explaining now, I have kind of equated iterative and incremental. I'm calling them interchangeably. But there is a difference between the two also, I'll talk about. But there are commonalities, kind of, they're similar. What is the difference? I'll highlight in a while. Before that, come to the other extreme, Agile. Now, Agile, the best way to understand, Agile is both iterative and incremental. So here, difference is note one. There is no concept of freezing requirement at all. So Agile is all about change. So here we are going to welcome changes, big time. Even in iterative, you did a little bit, here a lot. That is one. And next thing, the iterations are very rapid and so many. Like in your iterative incremental life cycle, we had like 2, 3, 4 large iterations. But in Agile, we're going to have very rapid. When I say rapid, like 2-week iterations, could be 1 week also. Well, could be a month long also. Let's say 2 weeks. Say so. Yeah, so iterations are rapid. And we'll have how many 15, 20 as many iterations needed to complete the project. Okay, so there's no concept of freezing requirement at all in Agile. So this is a high level view. I'll speak more about them. But before I do, another thing to be noted. Broadly, development life cycle, I'm calling this as development life cycle. Broadly, development life cycle is divided into 2 types. Okay, one is predictive. The other I'll call the other one is adaptive. Okay, there's adaptive. Just a moment. And now watch out. Within adaptive is divided into iterative, incremental, and agile. So adaptive is a collective term. You could see any of the terms in the exam. Okay, remember. So if you see the term adaptive, you got to understand that it's referring to any of the other life cycles like iterative, incremental, and agile. Okay, we call that as adaptive. Now let us compare these life cycles. Look, this table very well depicts the difference, compares these life cycles. Have a look. So you're comparing them under these themes. Number one, requirements. So take a look. In predictive, your requirement is fixed, rigid. You freeze it, you sign it off. But as I had been telling you, in all other life cycles, the requirement is dynamic. That is, change can happen, right? But yeah, it's again debatable how much of change. Like agile is way too dynamic. In incremental is hardly dynamic, very little. But no matter what, it's all dynamic. That's what. Then check out activities. What's written here, I'll read out. Activities are performed once for the entire project in predictive. Through this statement, what I mean is, by activities, yeah. So like these activities, design, then once design is done, we go ahead and build the product. After you build, then you code test it. These activities I'm talking about. So in a predictive, what happens, watch, you perform these activities once. That is, no coming back. Design over, then you only start build. Once build is done, then you go to test. All right. So these activities, design, build, test, they are going to be performed only once for the entire project. But check out in case of, yeah, look at others. Here it is performed once for the entire project. But look at iterative and in agile next. Here the activities are repeated until correct. Meaning in iterative, what we do is we keep coming back. Okay, you design, then you go to build. While building, you can come back and change design. Again, while testing can come back here. So this would be the case in iterative kind of life cycle. Iterative and incremental, both of them. Sorry, iterative and agile. The activities are repeated. Okay, not once. Now look at incremental, what it is written for incremental. Perform once for the given increment. Here also it is once, look, like in your predictive. But the difference is, if you check out in predictive, you perform these activities once for the entire project. But here, we are repeating activities. Yeah, so here we're doing it for every increment. Like I'll just try and explain. In incremental, what happens is, look. Just a moment. My pen has betrayed. Yeah. So I was saying in incremental, watch. So project divided into number of increments. Okay, this is iteration 1. Now, for iteration 1, we will do design. After, okay, design this one. Then after design is there, then you build, then you test. You perform once. Only when design is done, then you go to build. After build, you go to test. But then look for iteration 2, again you repeat, again design, again build, again test. So these activities are repeated for every increment. All right. So that is a difference. Okay. Then come to delivery. In case of predictive, there's a single delivery, meaning your product is never ever ready, not until the last end of the project. This is when our product will be ready and we will release it. That's how the development happens. But look at incremental and agile next. I'll bring you here later. So in these life cycles, what? We go for frequent deliveries, not one-time delivery. I mean, partial releases and all will make. But check out iterative. Here also we are saying, you know, a single delivery. So one question could be, if it were single delivery, then why did we have iterations in the first place? Well, I'll tell you. In iterative, we have iterations to basically build something and then use it to get feedback of the stakeholders. All right, we incorporate them. All right, so that is the reason, we are doing it and to improve the product. That's why single delivery here also. Your product would never be ready, not until the end of the project. Then come to the last attribute, goal. Let's compare them, on what is the goal in these life cycles. Now, before I start talking about the goal, please take a note. Goals such as completing the project on time, within budget. These are anyways goal everywhere. That's no news. So what is written under goal here is to be understood as what's the main focus area in this life cycle. That's the right way of understanding. So for predictive, what is the ultimate goal? Manage cost. That is, respect the budget. So we have a budget. So using predictive life cycle, you try to ensure that we do not overshoot the budget. We happen to deliver within that. So that will make sure by good tracking, monitoring, I'll ensure that. So that is my major goal. Now come to iterative. Look at the goal. Very different. Manage cost? No, not at all. Then what? Correctness of solution. Look, correctness of solution to mean we want to build an excellent product that will delight the customer. That is our goal. And you achieve this goal how? By repeating activities still correct. All right. Yeah, getting feedback. End of the iteration, you would showcase whatever has been built to the stakeholders, get their feedback, suggestion for improvement, and implement in the next iteration. So thus build an excellent product. Okay, that's the goal. Now come to incremental. What is my goal? Look very different. Speed, not great product, not managed cost. Speed. I mean, we want to deliver fast. That would be incremental kind of a life cycle. Yeah. So incremental, like you want an example, I'll give an example of incremental. Let's say the project is to come up with a residential complex. We'll develop a residential complex. There'll be 500 apartments in it. Okay, that's my project. Okay, 500 apartments will be there. Okay, there'll be 10 towers. Each would have 50. So 500. So that's my project. First, what would be predictive much? If I use predictive to apply, traditional predictive. So it's like we'll start right from the scratch. There'll be excavation. Then you dig the foundations, right? Then you would raise the structure. Okay. Then after structure is there, then you go to the interiors of the house. In parallel, we'll be working on other amenities in the apartment. And let's say after 3 years, say the project duration was 3 years, let's say. So end of the third year here, all my 500 apartments are ready to be delivered to the customer. Okay. So this would be predictive. Now watch, if I use incremental to deliver this. See what incremental would mean. Much again in incremental, the difference in approach. Again, say this project is 3 years long. Now in incremental, what you do is you break down the development into number of iterations. Okay, this is iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3. Now what happens is that, okay, in iteration 1, again, we start from the basics here also. We have those excavation, foundation done, the tars and all you are raising. But watch, in iteration 1, you don't work on all 10 towers. What do? You pick up 2 towers to work on only. Okay, in iteration 1. So you work on 2 towers and it's like at the end of, say in 1.5 years, this iteration 1 is over. So we would have 100 apartments to be delivered to the customer right away. So unlike predictive, see in predictive, you wait till the end of the project. This is all where all my apartments are built. But in incremental, here's the difference. You don't do that. Okay, so then we'll run an iteration 2, wherein we focus on 3 more towers. So 150 more will deliver here. And the end of the last iteration will deliver the last 2 towers, which is like 100 flats. So this would be incremental. The same project in incremental. So the benefit are you able to achieve? Why did we say fast? So you don't want your customers to wait till the end of it. You keep delivering fast. Okay, I think I'll pause here for a while and check anybody got a question on these life cycle models. I briefly spoke and compared them. Yes, question, go on.
Yes, thank you. What I understand here is that the business case should be very well aligned with this, let's say, approach, because in the case of the predictive, I think it's the only one where probably the costs are more predictable, let's say in that way. Correct. In the other approaches, what I see here is that it's pretty difficult to put a cost there. So what I understand here is that the business case to be, let's say, presented to senior management should be not based in cost, based in the goal you describe here, correctness, speed, customer value, etc., but not in cost. But nevertheless, my question here is there a way or a methodology to calculate the cost in the adaptive approach?
Okay, 2 things. Very good question, Fernando. Number 1 is that, no, in a business case, you would have cost, even if you're using predictive. Okay, no, sorry, adaptive. Predictive is obviously possible. You should have a cost. Let that be an approximation, that's fine. But not having a cost in business case is not acceptable. Even if it were agile, where the lot of evolution would happen to the requirement, still we'll have a ballpark estimate, we'll definitely have there. We can control that. That is one thing. And then the question is there a way to estimate the cost? Yes, of course. Of course. So during planning stage, we go for detailed budgeting, estimation techniques and all. But here we would be referring to historic data, compare with a similar project of the past. You rely on expert judgment. Okay. So these are things that you would do, but you'll have to arrive with a cost. Definitely will have.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I also have a question, DJ, regarding the first goal, let's say, of the first line, no, the predictive. But by the way, I don't know if you call it also waterfall.
Yes, we call it waterfall.
Okay,
good you added.
You mentioned you mentioned traditional planning, plan-driven planning.
Right.
I also know waterfall. So regarding the predictive, you say this the goal of this is to manage costs.
That's
Can
the
you
most
elaborate?
important goal. Yeah, I'll elaborate. That means in predictive, the most important goal is, say we budgeted the project as 1.5 million. Let's say that was the budget. So our goal would be you deliver such that the project doesn't exceed 1.5 million. So that is the main goal. How do you achieve? By detailed planning. We don't leave things to chance. We do a detailed planning upfront to ensure that it's done within that. We would apply rigorous monitoring. If there is any deviation, we'll take corrective actions and then ensure that we are completing in this budget. Yeah, this is what I meant. So you do very detailed planning, rigorous monitoring to ensure that, and no changes will you entertain to ensure that we deliver within the budget.
Saying that, as a forward, I believe, and I also, when I facilitate trainings, I also teach to the attendees, like it's in my experience, and is obviously based on my experience, is better a very good traditional project management than a very bad agile. But historically and statistically, well, what we observe, and actually this is also why PMI changed the as you say, the weight of the agile part up to 50%, is that basically most of the waterfall, let's say, predictive projects, predictive approach projects are like failing in maintaining the 1.5 millions or billions that you are referring to here, no?
Right.
Because basically, unless you have a very predictable environment in which you can assume that there are no changes and no ambiguity at all, usually in the complex projects kind of realm that we are now, even it's not simple projects normally. That's why agile projects, agile approach is working better. Now, the iterative and incremental, and this is another question, is it a way to see some kind of hybridization of in between agile and waterfall? Or otherwise, is it simply that here you're showing the evolution historically? Predictive was the traditional one, then it came to start becoming iterative, but as you say, repeat until correct, but with a single final delivery at the end. Then we came to incremental, because I've seen hybrid also in the definitions here in the book.
Right.
And incremental came also as a further evolution with frequent smaller deliveries up to the agile, that is basically, as you say, the iterative incremental approach.
Yeah. Oh, many things you said, I'm lost. First of all, I would pretty much concur with what you said, that complex projects and all, if you use predictive and come up with a detailed costing, although your intent is to manage costs, you may not achieve that. Very true. And hence, who said use predictive in complex project? Don't use. So predictive is to be used. I want to build this flyover. Look, this project, we have detailed specification and we have 100% clear understanding of how flyover is built. Here I can use predictive and I would be most likely successful. So what I said, this is the goal, but well, people still fail. They have been failing. All right. That's always there. So that is why, and we are doing more and more complex projects these days. That's why iterative incremental agile is becoming more popular. No doubt about it. But when I said this table, by the way, this table I take right from PMBOK. This table is there as is in PMBOK. So in predictive, that remains the goal always, whether achieved or not achieved. But that is the primary goal that remains. Okay, that's one thing. Coming to hybrid. Okay, yes. Hybrid, okay. What is hybrid as stated here? Hybrid is a project where we're using a blend of life cycles. Let's say, for example, my project is to build an insurance application for a large insurance company. All right. And much of the scope or requirements is evolving, the user interface and all. We don't know that for certain now. That would evolve during the course of the project. So we decide we'll use Agile for most part of the project. It suits. But look, there's a portion of the project I'll show you, which is for which the requirement is pretty much rigid, very clearly known. You know what? The insurance premium calculator. So we have to come up with a premium calculator. And for the premium calculator, we have hard-coded logic, very detailed requirement, that's there, the logic. And there's no evolution that's going to happen. So to build that calculator, why use Agile? Please don't. Predictive is more suited to build that. So in the same project, for some pieces, we're using Agile. For some portion, we're using predictive. This is also termed as hybrid life cycle. Okay, a mix of life cycles. Okay, if I'm missing any of the questions, I'm not sure. These are a couple that I remember from what you said, Alberto.
Oh, clear. Thank you. I think this also helps the other participants. Huh? Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Darshit, there are a lot of people waiting for questions. Darshit, please
Ah,
go on.
yeah, thank you, sir. Sir, I have one question that in the projects like infrastructure, like you talking about the flyover, so there are the agile project life cycle, but in case of delivery and goal, which we can't give the smaller frequent deliveries and customer value unless the project is completed. So I mean, it is a agile. It is having a agile project life cycle, but not the complete agile project life cycle. So
Darshit, sorry interrupting. Did you really say, I would love to understand, in an infrastructure project, did you say that you are using agile life cycle? I would love to understand because I haven't seen much that being done.
okay, so because it is in the characteristics like activities, it is repeated until it is correct, and it is I mean in the during the life cycle of the project, it is repeated.
But Darshit, tell me something. In an infrastructure project, let's say, okay, fine. Take it. Let's take a small task. We have to, build the foundation. Okay. So it's like, do you say you repeat, you pour concrete, and then after a week's time, you measure how good the foundation is, what is the strength. You find it's not good. So you remove the whole thing and pour again. This is what is repeating until correct. I don't think that's possible.
Sir, if it is not getting strained, then client will ask you to rebuild or demolish the structure if it is
My
not
say
meeting the
Darshit.
standards.
My say Darshit. So what I will do, of course, your client would not accept if it is not of good strength. But what I would do, hey, I have dug so many foundations we have built. I know how to write in the first time build it. We have clear-cut formula composition to build good strength of concrete. So I'll do it right in the first time. I know it pretty well. I did it so much, and I'm sure you would be doing. Tell me, Darshit, in your projects, did you really dig and do it 2-3 times?
Not really, sir. We would have completed in first go only, but this is the case sometimes happen.
Sometimes rework happens everywhere, Darshit. I agree. But your infrastructure project you simply cannot afford by doing and redoing this kind of a work. So the reason, see, I don't know, we have gone in a different direction altogether. You started with a statement that your infrastructure, while agile, is being implemented, but some aspect cannot be done. I want to know what aspect is possible, what aspect of agile you implement. Because if you talk about a flyover, let me tell you, no agile. Who says agile? You mess up using agile in your flyover project. Please use predictive to build your flyover. So if you think in your infrastructure project agile is possible, we can discuss that.
Right, sir. But the perform once for the in the characteristics like activities, perform once for the entire project. I guess this is not uh, uh, usually done practice.
In predictive, you mean to say?
Yes.
Then you're not using predictive. If you are doing, so you tell us, help us then. In your project, what is it that you do iteratively? You don't perform once, right? So what activity do you do and then come back and redo? What activity?
Sir,
Only
like
then you tell me, yeah.
sir, like you gave only the example like design. If the design is not correct, it can be changed during the project. I mean, if it is not correct, and if it should be redesigned, or if there are something errors, then it can be there can be a change.
So this is what you do in your project, you say?
No, sir, but I'm just giving an example that this is what happens, that there there are chances that design can be changed in between during the project life cycle.
No, that can happen in any life cycle, gentlemen. Okay, some design change, a rework or something that can happen. But you not getting the point. Like in a predictive kind of environment, if I'm building my flyover, I would not repeat them. I would not do that. I would not, do the foundation and then after I start the structure again, I dig the foundation and come back. I would never do that. The work nature of work doesn't support. But if I'm building a software, then I can, repeat it very easily. Anyway, I don't know where are we leading to. If you're talking about suitability, I'm going to talk about which kind of life cycle can be used where. We'll definitely take it up. Is there another question I should take? There were more questions. Please feel free. Fair then, I'll continue with this one. We saw this far. So we were last looking at the goal. This is where we left, right? We talked about speed. Yeah, so we want to deliver fast. That's the goal in case of incremental kind of a life cycle, as I gave you that residential complex example. Okay. And then come to the last one, the goal of Agile. While iterative, the goal was what? Excellent product. So how do we achieve that? You complete iteration one, whatever you build in iteration one, you seek feedback, whatever understanding you have, you build, you go to the stakeholders, showcase that, identify improvement, take feedback and make that improvement. You keep on improving. So thus we happen to build an excellent product. Come to Agile. The best way to understand Agile is iterative plus incremental. That is what is Agile. That's the easiest way to understand. Is both iterative and incremental. So in other language, to understand the goal of Agile, add up the goals of, iterative and incremental. So in Agile, my goal is both an excellent product as well as speed. So we want to deliver fast here. Also, we want to deliver an excellent product. The same is written in a different language. So that was a little bit of comparison of the life cycles. Now, last thing I would do between iterative and incremental. So the way we saw some differences, right? Okay, both the cases we got iterations, but did you notice the differences? Watch, between, a lot of people confuse between the two. Okay, here activities are performed once, you don't repeat, but in iterative you repeat. Here you go for frequent deliveries, but in iterative no frequent delivery, only one delivery. And the goal is very different. In incremental, we want faster deliveries, while iterative, we looking for an excellent product. I'll just show you one thing, one diagram. That's a very nice way to understand the difference between iterative and incremental. Have a look at this one. This is the best way to understand. See, we have to come up with this painting. Now, there are two different approaches. Look, when we adopt iterative, the top one, this is iterative and the below one is incremental. So look at the difference. In iterative, see, we have a first iteration one here. We come up with the first sketch, okay, the very first draft sketch, whatever you call it. Then iteration two, see, this is what is coming back, repeating. You'll get an understanding of what I mean as repeating here. So this diagram. Then in iteration two, you get some feedback and you make some amendments to that. You see, sorry. So some amendments have been done. Then come to iteration three, further improvement is done. Basic colors and all you add. Then there's a four. And by the last iteration 5 is when you have the complete painting. And did you notice something? You kept coming back every time. But that we'll now understand incremental. Look at the difference in incremental. In incremental, no repetition, no coming back. Look at iteration one. Okay, iteration one, you focus only on the forehead. So unlike iterative where you're coming with a complete sketch, you don't do that. In incremental, you pick up a portion. We are only focusing on the forehead. And do note, the forehead is done. We will never ever come back to the forehead. So hence you're calling it as incremental, okay? Come to iteration 2 now. Now forehead was done. Now the full face is coming up. We are building the product incrementally. So when we get to the last iteration, the product is 100% built, fully built. But did you get the difference now? no coming back. Forward was final here itself. Likewise, the phase is done. We'll simply add up, but we'll not come back and change. But in iterative, we did that. Could we understand this? Yeah, that's a good way of understanding the difference. Now, for a while, I'll repeat again. Predictive, there are many names given. I'll repeat them. I told you earlier also, call it as predictive. There are many names. Call it as predictive or call it as your traditional. Traditional, we call it. Some people, another term I'll tell you, linear. Some people call it as linear life cycle also. Predictive, of course, plan driven, it is called as plan driven. Okay, this is plan driven. The other three, we call them as change driven. Hope you understand why this term, because these are all open to changes, some amount of change. So predictive is plan driven, these are change driven. Waterfall, somebody held us with this term. These IT guys, they use the term mostly, waterfall. These are names for predictive. Okay. Here is a guideline. Look at this. Which life cycle to use where? This is a very simple suggestion provided and is based on two parameters. Get the axis. X-axis is the degree of change. This change to mean requirement change. Read X-axis as how volatile the requirement is. Okay. So high degree of change to mean the requirement is, highly volatile, but the lower side is like the requirement is stable. We have fixed requirements. You're not expecting much of changes. And the Y-axis is frequency of delivery. High to mean we'll go for very frequent deliveries, while low to mean you're going for a single delivery, no frequent deliveries. So here's the suggestion, watch. If both are low, meaning the requirement is fixed and only single delivery is going to happen. We're not going for partial releases. Then the solution to that is predictive lifecycle. This is the guideline. Predictive approach is more suited. All right. And then where iterative, watch. Look at this one. Say delivery is going to be single, no partial release. However, the requirement is very much volatile. The requirement is highly volatile. Okay. We're expecting a lot of changes to happen. The requirement to keep evolving. Then the answer to that is iterative. Okay. That's where iterative is a good idea to go for. Then where incremental, watch. In incremental, watch. The requirement is not going to much involved. The requirement is kind of stable, very little evolution that happen. But we want very frequent deliveries, like in that residential complex example. We already have kind of requirements known, what specifications the apartment would have. Not much change would happen, very little, but very frequent deliveries. So that's where incremental to be used. And when both are high, that is, the requirement is highly volatile and delivery is also going to be frequent, then is when Agile to be used. I think I'll pause here again to check on questions. I think when people were asking questions on the last slide, you were trying to fit every life cycle in your project. I mean, obviously, no. Depending on the nature of the project, you have to pick up the life cycle. So for flyover, now Agile doesn't suit. Mostly it doesn't, okay? So there, we applying would be a mistake. So this is a simple guideline to, pick the life cycle. Yeah, any questions, please let me know if you have.
I have a question.
Yes,
So, in a example a few minutes back, you have given an example where the building 10 towers and 500 apartment we are giving in a predictive manner. That much I understand in totality. And the second part was we are giving delivery partly in fast phase 100, and it is incremental way just to increase the speed.
Correct.
So how we are incorporating the changes, this part is not
very
little
good
bit
question.
confusing.
Very good question. First of all, Biswajit, you have got it right, what I said. Okay. And now
Yeah.
answering your question. Yeah, I am agreeing with you. In incremental change is minimal. So look, I'll tell you, that's what I was telling you. I'll take you back. So in incremental, I repeat, we are not entertaining much of changes. Very little can happen. So here you see incremental, what it says. X-axis is change. So in incremental is suited when change is low. Low to mean no change or little change. You got to read this way. So I'm with you. Although in the table, if you go back to the table, when we talk about requirements, we said requirements is dynamic in all of them. You see, for incremental also is written dynamic. But what we need to appreciate is how much dynamic. Agile is like big time change in requirement. A lot of change can happen. Then iterative also is big on change. Incremental is very less. We said a dynamic because it's not no change, completely fixed like predictive. A very little bit of change can happen. But yeah, that's true. So in our incremental life cycle, change is not much happening. But little bit of change can happen. How? Like end of iteration, you got some feedback, you find things are not working. You may adapt, make some improvements. So little bit can happen. Back to you, Gusujit.
Yeah, understood into time. Thank you. Yeah,
In
understood.
terms of change, yeah, okay, get that. In terms of change, agile is most open to change. Then is iterative, okay, like iterative. Then I can, if I were to do it, then I'll bring in incremental. And predictive is least. All right, so that's how you can look at openness to change. Yeah, anybody else got a question? Okay, all good. Yeah. Here is another guideline, again on suitability of life cycle, which one to use where, known as the Stacy's complexity model. Okay, it's named after the person who talked about Stacy's complexity model. So she talked about, what kind of life cycle would be suitable where. So check out the axis first. Y-axis is requirement uncertainty. Requirement uncertainty to mean how volatile the requirement is. Low to mean the requirements are fixed, high to mean very volatile. And what is X-axis? Look, X-axis is technical degree of uncertainty. I mean, X-axis is how technically challenging the work is. For example, I have to build a simple house for myself. That technical degree of uncertainty is not high. But we now need to build a skyscraper, a very high rise. Okay, that is relatively more technical degree of uncertainty. All right, that's what X-axis to mean. Now, here's the suggestion. If both are low, I mean, the work, the project, the requirement is kind of stable and not much technical uncertainty is there, then we can call such projects as simple projects. And how are simple projects best delivered? Linear. Hey, linear to mean another name of predictive. So different models, they use their own terms. So what we learned as predictive life cycle is also termed as linear. That's what is recommended. And then what if these are low to moderate? We call such a project as complicated. Both of them, technical degree of uncertainty and requirement. And if both are like towards the higher side, say moderate to high, then such projects can be called as complex projects. And for complicated and complex projects, adaptive life cycles are suggested. When I say adaptive, remember, it's a collective term we use for that iterative, incremental, agile, all of them. Okay. And if both are highest, both are very high, then that's like chaos. So what is it? These are fundamentally risky projects, meaning whatever you apply, you're going to struggle. Okay, so that is again a similar kind of guideline from Stacy's complexity model. Okay. I think
sorry, DJ.
Yes.
I lost the word that you used. Whatever approach you apply, you will fail the projects.
Fundamentally, not fail. I mean, you would struggle, is what I said. So these are fundamentally risky projects. I mean, even using Agile or anything, So there is always a struggle, but definitely you won't use predictive here. Okay. Yeah.
Thanks.
Kalyani, you raised your hand. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so my question is actually twofold. First is if I'm initiating a project, and so before that, I created this business case where I have stated certain features or benefits that I'm going to offer with my product, and there was certain amount of budget that I require for it. But if my budget did not like get approved completely, but it got partially, so I thought like I might initiate the work at least, and I initiated using whatever budget I had. But later in this, as they saw the progress and they found benefits out of it, and they approved the remaining whatever budget I required. So I now have in hand some additional money which I can use to complete my feature list basically. So how do you suggest I should plan that sort of a project?
How means, are you talking about life cycle model? Are you referring
Yes, yes. I mean,
so the way I see, we need more parameters, but one thing that comes to my mind is like incremental.
Okay.
You're doing.
And,
so why incremental?
I'll
tell you. You understand why incremental, right? Say you are demanded a budget of 1.5 million. So you are only given a budget of say 1 million to, or whatever, you can take any number, initial budget. So you had a wish list of requirements. Okay. You have a wish list of features you presented. Obviously you cannot deliver all of them because you have limited budget, which is 1 million. So what you do, you pick up whatever you are able to do, you prioritize, okay, with 1 million at best, we can do this much. You go and deliver. So you deliver it. And then later when more budget is given, we'll add another increment. We'll take it as another increment with some more features and add with the more 500,000 we're getting. That could be one way to deliver.
Okay. Additionally to this same context, if I say that the client that I'm going to deliver it to, if somehow they, when I finish the first half of the assignment and they come up with a new requirement, so even if like if I have to accommodate that new requirement also within this project, or will that be considered a separate project?
So why make a separate project? Could be a part of this project. So in that case, in the iteration 2, you can reprioritize the requirements. That's always possible.
Okay. Understood.
When new requirements have come. And I'll also go back and change my answer also. I mean, I will not change, I'll add to my answer. I said incremental the way you presented the question, but it could be agile also. Because in the way you presented the question, the way I understood is you were clear about the features. You know, these features were to be built. But if you had said in the same question that we are yet to, I mean, we broadly know we got a high level backlog is there, but we are not very sure of the detailed requirement. That would evolve. If you had added this piece to your question, I would have said agile then. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other question, anybody? Okay, I think we're going to call it a day here. We couldn't complete this first. I mean, it's okay. We are on time. So tomorrow we'll continue with the remaining of this first chapter, business environment, and then proceed to others. And also, please remember a couple of things. I repeat, the joining link would remain the same for all the days, okay, for all the 8 sessions, and the time remains the same as well. Yeah, that's all from me. And the recordings I'll be uploading, shortly. So the link I had shared. Any last question for the day before we call it a day? Let me know.
So just a confirmation that attendance you are taking, that is the final. You need not to be done anything else for that sake.
No, what you do? Nothing. I've taken attendance here. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Okay,
attend the
thank you.
sessions. That's it. Right.
Hi DJ, can you see any like